Here we go.
Let's see if this is gonna work.
Where's
All right, hold on. It says that we're live. So let's.
Where?
Except for I don't see any video. Is there video? Come on.
There we go. There we go. Okay, there we go.
Oh, I see us.
There it is. Woo!
I see us. Oh my gosh. Welcome to Tech Talk, episode 52. I know. Tech Talk.
We talk about tech.
Sometimes and some other stuff too. So sorry about that, guys. We're a little bit late. You know, technical problems like usual. Today's fiasco is we're actually doing audio through Skype, video through OBS Ninja, and we're using the old school OBS instead of SL OBS. So I finally at least got away from that. So we at least got away from
goodness.
Logs. I know that thing is a piece of garbage. Oh my god. So and it appears things are. I mean, we're both coming in like beautiful 60 frames per second. So
yeah, looks good.
So
yeah,
looks good. And you cleared up, so that's great.
Barnacules is very quiet.
Am I quiet? I shouldn't
not
be.
to me. But I don't know. The output might be.
Let me check my mic here. Mic. Actually, I am coming in a little bit quiet. Why?
Yeah, Jerry is like 50% volume. Aux a bit load.
Well, it's not 50%, but it's there. Here, let me go to. Hold on. Let me go to my filters. Let me add in a gain. Let me go add a gain to myself. That's weird because I use OBS all the time, and I have this cranked to max volume. So why the hell is it quieter? You know what I think it was? It removed. Oh, it's because it removed all my microphone filters.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bitch.
That I've done that switching scenes like for builds and stuff.
Yep.
I had forgot to put the like noise cancellation and compressor onto the other scene collection.
Well, let me try this. So I got a compressor enabled. Let me turn up the gain a little. Check. All right, is that better? Oh shit, clipping. Check. Is that better, guys? Is that more in line with the audio experience of Aux?
Hello.
All right, there we go. We got a good.
Hello.
All right, so now I got
You're
the
better.
compressor enabled, so that's good. Let's see. Is there anything else I need to add? So I got the compressor. Let's see. Gain, noise. Do I need the noise gate in here? Do you guys hear all the crap going on in the background in my room? Or I think I usually do have like the noise suppression filter added, so I'll go ahead and add that, and then I'll put that in before the compressor. Hold on, put it in. There we go. Okay.
There's like a light fan noise that I hear, but it's like it's nothing that I wouldn't expect from my own like heating system. You know.
Got it. Yeah, that should be better now. I've got a noise suppression filter and then the compressor. So the noise suppression filter should cut out the background noise, and then when I start talking, it should kick in and then compress my audio. If I'm doing this correctly, which I'm probably not, like usual. All right, so everybody's pouring in. Let me go out and tweet the link to the show.
Oh shit!
Gotta go
tweet
do
it
some
out.
tweetings. Gotta tweet it, man.
Tweeter. I'm
Gotta-
gonna do that real quick.
You gotta be like tweet. All right, so Tech Talk episode 52 is live right now. Get in
Is that
here.
where we're at? Dang, man.
Yeah, dude,
that
time flies.
means we must have missed a few. Or well, we didn't really start at the beginning of the year either. So we've done.
No.
This means this week is a full year of Tech Talk.
It's wild. to even
52
think about.
weeks. 52 weeks is a year. That is a full year of Tech Talks.
That is a long time to be Tech Talking, my friend.
Amazing. You could watch all of our episodes, one episode a day from now until next year, and it'd fill every day.
Yeah, I literally dare you to do that.
I'm not going to do that.
No. The people listening. Could you imagine the narcissism required to go back and like watch your own stuff for that long? like even I have limits to my narcissism, sir. Here, I'm leveling myself off with you here. Okay. There we go. We're kind of on the same level now. Wow, this is starting to look more and more professional every week we do it. 52 episodes later, and we're still having to like cobble together 5 programs to get this to work.
It's if it's 1% better every time, that's pretty good, you know?
That means that we're 52% better than when we started.
That's a pretty significant increase, in my opinion.
I can live with that, dude. I can live with that. All right, so I went ahead and tweeted it out. I went ahead and Facebooked it out. So now the masses know that we are now, we are now live and in charge. All right, we got 155 concurrent viewers. What is up, chat?
Hello.
It is
I
good
love
to
it.
see
One
this.
time, my dad actually retweeted the stream.
Did
It
he
was
really?
pretty fun. Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
Does your dad actually watch it, or was he just like?
I don't think so. He's only semi-connected. Like I think he's just recently getting like a good connection at his home.
Oh, okay.
He usually would go like to the library or something like that and connect to there, because he lives out in like Ocean Shores or something. So it's shitty for
Ocean Shores. The internet is garbage, dude.
Yeah,
we just went out there to the beach. What, about 4 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago? Oh my god, that was the adventure where I like literally had to like get out of the car in the middle of some podunk town and like run up on a hill and piss, and then slide my own piss with a bunch of people in a drive-through for a restaurant were all looking at me.
Aw.
Yeah, that was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life, and I'm not a person that gets embarrassed very easily. So, yeah, and then we go to Ocean Shores, and it's like, the cellular reception there was garbage, dude.
Yeah, it's bad.
Oh my gosh, like, and yeah, that's right. You tried to do a tech talk from there once, didn't you? You were in Ocean Shores. You couldn't even get enough bandwidth to like do the lowest video signal.
Yeah,
it's that's kind of weird. A place that so many people go. It's like a tourist place with all those hotels and everything, and they have shitty internet. You'd think they'd spend like, a couple $1,000 and put in an antenna.
I get the feeling that it's like the city is against it. Like they're pretty strict about like what gets built, and like their whole community out there is very like
homeowners association ish.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is actually the case. Like residents there have like this strict control over like everything. So
God, but the thing is, like, internet is a necessity. Like, it really is.
Oh yeah.
So I'd be surprised if they were like, hey, guys, no internet out here, okay? We don't want to fuck with the seagulls. Like, it just seems to me like internet is one of those things where it's like they will build the ugliest, crappiest, garbage looking antenna array ever if it means people get like 1 more megabyte per second. Like,
right. Actually, I need to poke T-Mobile, because there is a tower. Like I can step out into my front yard and see a tower just on the hill, like maybe a mile away. And I'm right now, I'm sitting right by a window, and I bet you I have no actual cell phone signal. Yeah, it's showing 0 bars, but still connected.
You know what's funny though is a mile, as far as cellular is concerned, a mile is really long ways.
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize like how many cellular antennas they are. Like, I looked at an array once, and it's like on average there's like a cellular antenna. There's probably 5 or 6 of them per mile.
Yeah.
Like everywhere you drive, and you just don't see them, right? You see some of them, but they're really good at like concealing them in trees and up on buildings and stuff like that.
It.
Yeah, it's cool. I could not believe how many cellular antennas there are. Like, and that's not even like 5G. I think with 5G,
there'll be more.
Yeah, because the range is less, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have less penetration through buildings and stuff, and so they have to have more of them. So at some point, it's going to be like you're going to go outside and there's going to be no more real trees. Like, you're going to walk up to a tree and you're going to bang on it, and it's going to be like, ding, ding, ding. It's just a hollow metal pole. That's what it's going to be. So how's everybody doing today? It is Saturday, the 2nd of whatever month this is. What are we in now? Is this February? Wow.
February.
We're in February. February 6th, Saturday. And we're just waiting for people to roll on in. They're taking their sweet damn time like usual, but hey, that's what they do, man. That's what they do.
Yo, if we're not doing our normal topics, I have something pretty cool to talk about.
Oh, I want to hear all about it, dude.
That I'm actually allowed to talk about because, I'm not under NDA or anything. I got to talk with Mike. I can't recall his last name, but he is the product manager for Thermaltake. I did a bit of an interview with him the other day. When was that? Tuesday, I think it was. And it was really cool. Got to talk about with CES being a virtual event this year, they kind of piggybacked on that and did Thermaltake. I mean, piggybacked on that and did their own little virtual expo where they announced a bunch of new product and stuff, which was super cool. I hadn't known about this when it happened because it was actually kind of late January. So because I don't follow Thermaltake that closely, but sorry, Mike, but
I honestly haven't heard about him in a long time.
Right. But I had an opportunity to talk to him about the new product and stuff, and how just cool stuff that they've got going on and features and things like that. In particular, because it's relevant to my personal interests, they released a new case called the Tower 100. and I highly recommend you look at it. It's pretty cool, and I'm not being paid to say this. It is actually pretty cool.
I know it's going to be a little bit of a burn, but is it anything like another product that's already on the market? Because Thermaltake kind of had a problem with like ripping off everybody's design there for like a year or two.
Honestly, it kind of reminds me of an Ultimaker.
Really?
If you look here, I'll post it.
Well, I don't care if they rip off like a completely different genre of product, as long as it's not another computer case. Like, I don't care if it looks like Zenith TV or a microwave or something. That's fine.
You could say that they took some inspiration from like the H1, kinda.
What's it called again? Here, I want to look
the Tower 100. I posted a link in the
you did?
YouTube
Okay.
chat.
Can we pull up the chat? Oh, that's funny.
Right. I like this a lot. So one, because it's ITX, my favorite. Two, it's got kind of like a I'd almost say 1.5. Like it's almost a full like three panel panoramic glass kind of enclosure going on.
It's actual glass too, 4mm tempered glass. Okay. Wow, only $109. That seems like super duper cheap for something with glass on it.
Yeah, and so it is a continuation of their Tower line. I think they have like a Tower 600 and a Tower 900 or something like that. Just giant fucking one.
It totally does look like a 3D printer though.
Right? I'm like, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, if I saw that across the room, that's what I'd think. Like if I saw it from the side, I'd be like, oh man, that's a cool 3D printer, dude.
Yeah, I dig it. I think it's pretty cool. Full disclosure, I think they're sending me a white one. So that's going to be pretty cool.
You goddamn sellout. Just kidding.
Which I think that was actually, so I'm not sure the details of the deal, but I think that is my compensation for the interview.
Yeah, tell them they can't have it back.
No, it's mine. Like Good. It is mine. But yeah, it was really cool just to talk with somebody. And I guess Thermaltake's this year, they are, I guess in the past they've had issues connecting with partners and getting samples and just the coordination of their like community outreach has been pretty not good, I guess.
They've had some rough things go on with their company, and but this, it looks like this is, I mean, if this is a sign of things to come, this is good because it doesn't look like it's ripped off from anything I know of. Yeah, it looks like the build quality on it's good. It reminds me of like the Case Labs kind of metal fabrication, and it's got actual tempered glass on it for $109. It seems like they actually hit a good price point with it.
I think and like those panels, I think are magnetic. They like zinc onto the thing. They're not. There's like no screws or anything.
Yeah, they even have like a shadow mask around the glass to like conceal the magnets. I don't know. That's pretty damn cool, actually. I like the design of this. I'm
stoked. It looks real easy to take to pieces. Like that top panel just kind of pops off. There's like a grill on the top that just, it's like, I think you said like you press it and it clicks out, right? And then comes off. Like if you take all the panels off, there's a lot of really good access to everything. It takes an ATX power supply under that. There's like that TT shroud under the motherboard. That's where the power supply goes.
All easily accessible filters. That's good.
It only takes 120 mil radiator though, so that's kind of a meh, but that's cool.
Well, I mean, where are you going to put anything bigger in a form factor like this?
I think it would be neat if they had done something where you could put a 240 on the right hand side opposite from the graphics card.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, that would have been neat,
but it would have ruined like that half glass panel. So I get where they were coming from with that.
What's under the grill there at the bottom? Is that like just where the power supply is down below? Like what else is under that?
Yeah, no, that's it.
It's just power supply. Okay,
I think there's like a grill for like the power supply fan to pull in.
I like the airflow seems good in it. Like it looks like it's drawn in all its air from nice, cool air, and then basically just forcing it up like a chimney out the top.
I think that was their idea. Yeah. Because there's one fan in the back, like by default, there's one fan in the back, one fan under that top panel piece where the buttons and stuff are. It's in there. So you could do like push pull on the radiator. You have one on top and one inside the case. Yeah, my only like kind of is the 90-degree rotation of the motherboard. So all your IO stuff is on the top and comes out, that way. But to make up for that, your graphics card hangs down on that left-hand side and it like kind of peeks out from the grill, which is pretty cool. I kind of wish they had done like maybe swapped the grill and the glass so you could see all of your graphics card.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. So there's no access to the back of the motherboard. How the hell do you get the cables in there?
On the top.
Oh, so it's okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, I can see it now. They don't have a good picture of it on the site.
If you go to the rear shot, you can see where the cutouts of the top panel are. That's where all your cables come.
Okay, so it is low enough that it's not going to be just like protruding out of the top of the case.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. That's good. No, I see the cutouts. Yeah, I see them now. Where there's like the two cutouts on the top. What is it? Like the cover.
Yeah, that panel
on
there,
the top.
I
mean, it's
cool.
an interesting design. I mean, I honestly, it's nice to see something unique. This does look unique. So I haven't seen anything else that looks like that though. But I'm surprised they hit that price point with the glass panels, because usually any of the cases that have the glass panel or the nice rolled metal or whatever, they start charging like an insane premium for that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think at that price point they'll probably sell a couple of those for sure.
I'm stoked.
What are you building in it?
A computer.
Can we get some specs, sir? What are you building? A toaster?
I don't know.
I'm gonna make a 3D printer out of it. That would be funny.
I don't
make
know
a
yet.
3D printer.
I need to. So like, I've collected up a bunch of disparate parts. I have a bunch of shit that I need to do like a big fire sale. I have like two Z370 boards that I need to get rid of. A bunch of cases, bunch of ITX cases. Just a bunch of weird random bits and pieces I need to get rid of. I have like 3 PCs right here. Oh, you can't see from my mic. Maybe you can't see from the cropping, but I got like 3 PCs over there that I need to get rid of. I kind of want to start fresh.
Oh, so I mean, are you gonna build them out and sell them, or?
I need to go through all my parts, pile them up into like as much collective as much as I can.
To see how many parts you're missing, like so you can cost out what you need to build each system. Gotcha.
Yeah, but if I can't make a complete set, I'm just gonna sell it. It's all basically all of it's gonna be sold at some point, except for I bought a Cooler Master Box NR200P. That'll be my next like.
Couldn't even tell you what that is.
Big
what
one.
Is it?
It's kind of a Ncase M1 competitor. It's pretty decent. It's a little bigger, but there's been some wild builds being done in this. It's really it's got some really good
another ITX form factor, or
I think it's really nice. It's a good in between from like the Cougar QBX, which is about $50-$60 and like a lot of plastic, and the Ncase M1, which I think is like $250, but like it's good build quality. It's a good kind of in between. I think it's a little bigger than the M1, but it fits like a lot better cooling, like AIO options and things like that. People have done some really nice builds.
I am liking what I'm seeing with the ITX builds these days, with like with the new power supplies being able to hit like such high wattage and such a small form factor. It's like I've seen some of these cases and they're building like 3080 freaking TIs.
I have a 750 watt SFX. Like,
dude,
that's
hilarious.
amazing.
Look how tiny that thing is. You can fit like 3 or 4 of those in a regular ETX power supply.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, because I remember the biggest limitation was power and cooling, right, in the small cases. And now with the riser boards and the extender cables, they're able to move the GPU into a better line with the airflow of these little cases. They can pancake them out, and then they just ram air in them like a server form factor. And now you've got the power to run, way more cooling, pumps. Now you're not using you're using solid state hard drives, so you're not using like 30% of your total power supply just to spin disks up anymore. So there's a lot more power you can dedicate to the GPU. And plus the GPUs now, I mean, they run really stable at high temps, where it used to be that they were like super finicky about that. But it's like, yeah, you can run a GPU now, like 81C or something like that, and the damn thing will still be stable. So, and Intel processors, I think, was the last generation that said that they could run at 109 or something like that. They could get over 100.
That's good.
Yeah, one of the Intel generations. So, I mean, they obviously that's within operating temperatures. That's not where you'd want to put them. But they can handle a lot of heat so that you can put them into a data center and stuff like that. And you don't have to worry about like, overcooling. which cooling costs a lot of money too. So it's like one thing I noticed is like my big server, Puget's big server they built for me.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that thing's making $25 a day crypto mining right now.
Hey,
even after all
job.
that time, dude, mining in Nice Hatch, like 25 a day. And I fire that thing up and man, it sounds like a jet turbine. The amount of, and it like almost pops your ears from the pressure change in the room. That thing is moving so much damn air. And I'm like, man, half the power from that power supply has to be going to those fans. Like,
probably. Well, they're super tiny. I imagine you don't need a whole lot to get those spinning up real fast because they're so small.
They create a lot of pressure though, man. A lot of pressure.
Yeah, they're 15,000 RPM, I think.
Yeah, I'd have to say, so when I put my hand on the back, first of all, if you open up the case and you look inside, guys, I did a video over it on my YouTube, so just look up Puget server, Barnacules, or whatever, you'll find it. There's 8 1060s in there, and they cover the entire back width of the case. Like, there is not, with the plastic shrouds and stuff, there is like, a nanometer of space between the cards, and you still get full flow air out the back of the case. And the only way it's doing that is because it is ramming air down those cards' throats.
Yeah, it's
like, yeah, if the case pressure, like if you go into the control software and you turn the fans down to like 10%, like no air comes out of the back. Like the fans on the graphics cards themselves are incapable of sucking any air because it's such a small gap. But as soon as you turn on the big fans and it's just ramming the air through every little nook and cranny and orifice on those things, it's just blasting out the back of the case. I almost want to open it and see if it's overdriving the fans. Like I want to see if like the GPU fans are running faster than they would on their own, just because there's like air being forced through it, and picking up the RPMs. Because you get a weird whistle off it, like when it's running full tilt. I mean, it makes a really high pitched sound.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, again, it's fast. Like it's blasting fast air out of there. So any thin section is gonna like when you put the grass between your thumbs.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It's like it's basically I got 8 whistles inside of that thing. It's like a turbo and a blow off valve.
So is 25 a day, is that making a profit for you? Because I can't imagine it's too expensive to run that thing.
No, massively. That thing at full tilt 100% consumes about $1.25 a day in electricity.
Get out. Well, that's so for the people at home, that shows how cheap electricity is in Washington.
Yeah, it's not 9 cents a kilowatt here, and then at its peak, it's like 11.5 or something. No, 11.5. I went and looked it up.
Ridiculous. Yeah, so it's because we're all on hydropower.
Pretty much, here. Yeah.
It's the entire state is run off of the which dam is that? Not the Hoover Dam. It's some other dam. But most of our power. Oh well, we got a bunch of wind turbines in Eastern Washington too.
Not a lot though. Not as many as you'd think. Like I've driven over there and looked at them. There's like I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 of them. Like, and I think each one of them can only each one runs like 100 homes or something like that. I think when it's like full tilt. So it's not as much power as like people think. You need a lot of wind power to really make like that's the biggest problem with like wind turbines being a replacement power source is the footprint. It's not even that. It's not. They're pretty efficient. They're decently built. The maintenance on them isn't terrible depending on where you build them. But it's the footprint that they take up that eats it up. It's like you can literally build a nuclear power plant, on 50 acres of land or something like that. Well, you have to have an exclusion zone too. I keep forgetting about that. Like when you build the exclusions, once you calculate the exclusion zone, then you probably could get similar with wind if you were in a windy area and you just filled the whole thing like dense packed with fans. But yeah, we have a couple of them here. But man, in California, you've ever like just flown over California and looked at like, I mean, it literally looks like there's stretches of like 20 miles where it's just solid fans as far as or solar. That's the other thing too, is I saw solar farms down there, which is impressive. Like you're flying over it, it just looks like there's a giant mirror on the ground that's like a mile by a mile square. It's crazy.
Yeah, in some places, actually, I think new construction is required to have solar panels on the roofs.
Yeah, you know what I want to see is in coastal states is more tide generation, like tide energy. Cool. And I don't know why they don't. It must be just a cost thing, like a maintenance and cost thing, because they're amazingly efficient. Amazingly, like these tide generators they put, they're basically just wind turbines underwater. With the smaller, they got like fatter and shorter blades or whatever, and then they usually put a cage around them so that like fish and whales and shit aren't getting chewed up in them. Right. But the amount of torque that the tide puts on those things, it's like the power is crazy. That they have one generator in the Hudson River, like in New York, that's powering like 5 or 6 buildings, including a supermarket with all its freezers and everything. And it's tiny. It's like the turbine's the size of my desk, and it's powering an entire supermarket and like other businesses. It's crazy.
I think it was like Norway. I think is almost completely on their tidal generators. I think something like, hey, what's up, Kevlar Condom? Nukes and nuclear energy is the lowest human deaths title, has huge maintenance problems.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's probably the maintenance just getting to it, just like the data centers.
There's got to be some environmental impact too. Like you gotta probably take that into account. Like I don't know if that would work, along maybe some of the Pacific Coast stuff. I don't know, like how far out you got to go, and like maybe you're destroying some sort of ecosystem to like anchor it to the ground and stuff.
All the ones I've seen aren't that far offshore. They're like actually really, really close to the shore, because you want to take advantage of it being like compressed down and pushed in, right? Because if you put it like way out, like in the middle of the ocean down at the bottom, you're not going to have very good tidal currents to keep it pushing. You want to take advantage of that coming in and then the slack tide and then going back out, right? That's the other thing too, is it's not continuous, right? Because unless you're in a river, well, shit, even if you're in a river, there's still going to be a slack tide coming in and going out, right? Like on the Hudson and stuff. So you're going to have a dead spot where you're just not generating any power. Just like, but wind, you can generate power. As long as there's wind, you can generate power 24/7, right? Doesn't matter if it's dark or light. But with a tide generator, you are kind of at the will of the tide coming in and going out. And then when you hit slack tide, you have no power. So you need some way to store energy. Like, I've been looking at it's actually old battery technology. Have you seen those liquid flow batteries? They basically just take like this saltwater solution or whatever and just pump it from one tank to another tank. So like think of like a lead acid battery, but you're just continuously replacing the electrolyte. And then once it pumps all the way to the other side, then you basically just pump it back through again. So they're weird. It's just, think of it like a battery that's just two giant tanks of solution and like metal plates and a pump physically pushing the liquid through the plates to generate the power. And they can use it for like storing huge. It's not efficient in its footprint. Like it's massively huge for the same amount of power as like a lithium battery, but you can use them. Like they don't break down. Like in theory, in 100 years, like you'd have to maintain the pump obviously, but like in 100 years, all the components are still the same. Like nothing on it really degrades that much.
Wow.
So, and it's really cool technology. And because, space and weight doesn't really matter when you're talking about something that's like terrestrial and on ground, right? It's like, as long as you can just set it, so like I know Elon Musk did the giant power wall for, God, what country was it? It might have been Norway or whatever, where they were basically trying to take the slumps out of their energy system where they didn't have any power generation from solar and stuff like that. So he created like this one, what is it? Like several gigawatts of power or whatever stored in a lithium battery, basically. That's next to the power plant. And I was thinking to myself, the only thing that sucks about that is those batteries will have to be like replaced every like 10 years. Like that's going to be really expensive and really toxic. Whereas with the flow batteries, you might take up 4 or 5 or 6 times the space, but it's going to be cheaper overall and they're just going to run forever. And then if you do recycle them, the electrolyte solution or whatever is non-toxic. And the ones that I was looking at, so it's like you can basically just take it and like, flush it. Yeah. And there's no real degradation to the environment. So I was like, why aren't more people using that technology? Plus it should be cheap as shit. Like a full battery sounds like it'd be the cheapest thing ever. If you can make a battery from two plastic tanks of solution and you're literally just pumping the stuff back and forth. The complexity on that seems like really, really negligible. It seems like that's something that you could like literally have guys like building in garages. Right. Like, just take some water tanks or whatever and go. And I even saw a DIY flow battery on YouTube. So I know that people can make them themselves. Yeah, there's got to be some limitation I don't know about though. Maybe like the amount of sustained power that they can put out or something like that. There's got to be something that's still making the lithium like more accessible for these people that are trying to store power. Lithium is non-toxic. You'll just not care after an hour. Well,
yeah, like they prescribe lithium for like bipolar disorder and stuff. It's but it kind of yeah, that's going down a different path. Never mind.
No. Non-toxic, and then you just won't care. You'll just be lithium high. Yeah. What was it that they gave to my grandma when she was in the hospital that we couldn't touch her? Oh, that was nitroglycerin. So
because she'll explode,
dude. No. They said that you can literally get a contact high from touching her because I guess you secrete it from your skin. So they're like, yeah, don't touch grandma, and I'm like, what? Because she was having heart problems. She was going in for like a 5-way bypass or whatever. And they had her on lithium and they had her like at a very, very shallow angle in the bed because they were just trying to keep her going until the surgery was ready. And they're like, don't touch her. Like, don't touch her, dude. We got her on this nitroglycerin or whatever. Wow. And if you touch her, it can transfer into skin. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I've never heard of that before. Like a drug that you take where you just physically like start touching other people and you start like giving them a contact high from it. That's kind of weird. but yeah, I don't know what it does. Maybe it like thins your blood or something like that. I really don't know what the nitro does, but somehow it makes it so like your heart's all shitty and broken down, can still run for a little while.
Yeah.
What is he? Let's see. Oh, I thought Adam was saying something over there in chat. So Adam, why aren't they using flow batteries everywhere? Why is lithium ion still what everybody's, because I lithium ion, or I should say lithium like polymer now, because we're getting really fancy with it. Lithium polymer batteries are great because not for cost, but for size and weight, right? They're insane power density. You can discharge a lot of power out of them. But they're extremely expensive. Recycling them still sucks. It does. Yeah. Making them is still pretty toxic to like make the things. So it's like if space and weight isn't a problem, you would think you would go for any other technology.
Says it's about the same voltage of a lemon. Well, there you go. There you go.
Dude, I watched a YouTube video where they tried to charge an EV with lemons. Did you ever see that? Where they took like 100,000? Yeah, they took 100,000 lemons and like stuck them on nails in this wooden board. And I mean, it took them like all day to like get a bunch of people to build this board of lemons, and then they plugged it into the battery pack to charge like this. It was a race car. They were trying to charge this electric race car, Formula E or whatever. And I think they ended up with like 100,000 lemons or something like that in an entire day connected. They got enough power to make the thing go like less than a mile.
Wow.
So, and they thought it was going to be so much more than that for some reason. I remember they were like really disappointed at the end of the video. They're like, wow, the math actually showed that we were going to get a lot more than that out of this. But no, they got like less than a mile of range out of an EV after a whole day and like 100,000 lemons. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was just a current issue or something. Maybe there was enough voltage there, but there just wasn't enough current to like charge the battery pack. But I thought that was a pretty funny experiment. That's one of those things where it's like it looks good on paper and then you go do it in real life and it just totally is ass. Bruce says lemon party. Oh God, don't do a search for that. That will warp you for life and you will never recover.
Don't do that.
Hey, Richard Gagnon, thank you for becoming a member earlier. I appreciate that.
Oh, thanks, man. That's pretty cool.
We thank you all for the support. This is we really enjoy doing this, but we also enjoy having AuxxZillary be able to afford to buy parts to build his computers. James Janus said, seen video of self-driving car making full trip and want your opinion. Would you consider driving if use it? Like if one had no license, and should they get in trouble?
100%.
No, yeah, I absolutely. 100%. Hell, even with a license, I would. Because genuinely.
Well, obviously the technology is evolving is going to evolve to a point where the whole idea is that there won't be a human interference in the driving experience.
Yeah.
However, because just like they still have pilots in the cockpit, most of your trip in an airplane is automatic. Pilots basically take off and land.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the airplane takes care of most of everything. Is my understanding. I'm sure I'm oversimplifying. And I've
sat next to pilots that have literally bragged about that aspect. They said they only land the plane every once in a while to keep up their certification.
Right.
Like that's the only time they go hands on.
And it's wicked safe. Like all the planes know where all the other planes are. It's a good idea. And that's where they're going to go with self-driving cars.
Yeah.
That's the obvious end game. But you still want somebody in the cockpit, in the seat, in case somebody out there doesn't have an automatic driving car. You're going to have to, if the machine fails in any way, the human has to take over. And if you are unlicensed to operate that vehicle, you shouldn't be in the driver's seat. I don't care how advanced the automatic driving gets. You should still know how to drive your car. Just like I really want the teenager to learn how to drive my manual transmission car, even though 98% of all vehicles are automatic.
Yep.
There's going to be a time where she's going to need to drive a stick at some point.
Yeah, some zombies trying to get her in a parking lot at like Walmart, and it's the only car there with keys in it. Yeah, I mean,
it has to. Like, absolutely. If you are not licensed to operate that vehicle, you should get in trouble regardless of whether or not it's autopilot.
I feel like it's a rite of passage to know how to drive a manual. Like, even if it's not super practical anymore, because like, most sports cars now have paddle shifters, and you can put them in automatic mode, where even though it's a manual, it's technically, computing and doing the shifting for you. It's like, so, but there's just something really that makes you feel, I don't know, it makes you feel like really accomplished when you can not only drive a car and control it, but you're also like controlling all of its gearing.
Yeah,
like I think that's just really cool. Like slipping a clutch, going into corner, clutch, kicking the car, and getting the ass end out and stuff. This is stuff you can't do in modern cars anymore.
Right.
You know, it's like go out, you know, in a Tesla and like crank the wheel all the way to the left and just cram it to the floor. And the car just goes like in a perfect circle with like the ass hanging out by like exactly a foot or whatever you program it to. It's like I like a car where it's like, yeah, if you fuck it up even by like a millimeter, it swaps ends, right? It's like I want it because if you feel accomplished, like you're like, man, I drifted that sumbitch, and then somebody's like in their car is like, oh dude, hold my beer. Okay, I want to drift out 1.5 feet. Okay, compute the angle of the corner, crank the wheel, stomp the gas down, and it does like a perfect drift. Right. And like all cars now, it's funny because it started out like as a joke, like this drift mode. I can't remember which was the first car was that had it, but they added like this drift mode. Now it's like on everything. It's like you can literally buy like front wheel drive cars now that have a drift mode.
That's dumb.
You're like, how the hell does that work? You know, using like torque victoring on the front and like braking the rear tires to get the ass end to slide out. It's just it's funny, but you don't feel the same level of accomplishment. It's like, yeah, it'd be cool to go out to a parking lot and just like crank the wheel and just have the car sliding out. Sure, but when you're doing it yourself and you're controlling it, that makes it a pretty special thing. And the same thing with like the automated driving cars. I think that it makes sense to have automated driving cars because, like you said, if you're not licensed or you're not experienced in driving, or you're a new driver, for instance, there's a high level of stress involved with that. I remember when the first drive I went on by myself after getting my driver's license, had my permit, did all the training, went to driving school, everything. The first time I actually left and I was in a car by myself, I was shitting a brick, dude. Like I was legit freaking out the entire time. All I did was drive to Albertsons and like come back home. I went to get like something for my mom, and I was just tripping balls the entire time just because like the whole gravity of the situation. It's like there's nobody here to hold my hand. There's no backup. Back then, I would have killed to have a button on the car that's like, you know what? I'm tripping balls. I'm just gonna push the button. It's gonna get me home. Or you're just like shit-faced drunk and you're out in the middle of nowhere and you can't get an Uber or whatever, and then you start thinking, oh, maybe it's worth the risk to drive the car and almost kill a bunch of people, right? It's like I'd rather just get in a car and push the button and say, just get me home, Jeeves. Like, just get me home. And it's the thing is, though, is it's already like really proven technology for the amount of automated cars that are out there. Like even just Tesla Autopilot, even though it's not a full class 5 automation or whatever driving experience, it's still pretty damn close. And there's a lot of people that are just like sleeping at the wheel. They're putting weights and shit on their steering wheel. And you hear about very few accidents with autopilot. You really do. They do happen. They do happen. And there's been some fatalities, but I'm just saying compared to human drivers, like I haven't looked at the statistics, but like the amount of human drivers and the amount of wrecks there are with like casualties versus how many automated cars there are in casualties from that. Yeah. I still think that the human element is still considered like more dangerous overall. But you do have to worry about other people too. That's the other thing, right? It's like you could have the greatest driving car in the world, and is he going to understand when some dude starts road raging and shooting at you and trying to pit maneuver you and shit? It's like until they get that smart that they can deal with that situation, then I'd probably be a little bit more apprehensive about having to be my daily driver.
Yeah, that's I agree. It's again like it's always the other driver, even without auto. Like it's never you're as a car driver. If any of you are young enough to not be a driving type person, it's rarely your skill that is you have to worry about. You got to keep your head on a swivel for everybody else.
Yeah,
it's the other guy who's going to fuck something up more often than not.
Yeah, no, actually that's the most important thing that I learned when I was in driving schools. They're like situational awareness.
Hey, that's cool.
they're like, don't ever just trust a green light, you know, always like if you're going through green lights and make sure there's not cross traffic coming through. One of the best lessons I ever learned, I remember in driving school, and they really baked this into my head so I'd never forget it, is always make sure that you're literally going over the speed limit when you're entering the freeway. Like literally in driving school, they're like, never go slower, always go faster, because you can decelerate a hell of a lot faster than you can accelerate. So if you're going faster than everybody else as you're merging onto the freeway, you can always scrub speed to find a hole and squeeze in. But if you're in a shitty slow car and you're doing like 45 as you're merging onto the freeway and everybody else is doing 65, 70, it's a lot harder for you to safely merge in. But if you're doing like 80 miles an hour, then you can scrub off a little speed or you can get in front of somebody else. And it's so counterintuitive because when you think about it, you're like, oh man, going fast, that's like less time to think. Like if you get in an accident, it's going to be more damaging. Like if I get a wreck at 45, it's not going to be as damaging as like being like 80 miles an hour. But then you think about, you do it a couple of times and you're like, no, it's actually way safer to go faster on the on-ramp and be able to just, you know, lightly touch the brake and fall back and then get into line versus being in a shitty car like I always drove when I was younger. Like my Ford Courier, you'd stomp it to the floor and it'd gain maybe like 1 mile an hour of speed every 30 seconds. You pretty much just had to like just hammer down, slide into the corner on the on-ramp, and then you'd still be doing like 50 by the end, you know?
Yeah. I'm actually enjoying teaching the teenager how to drive and stuff. It's but it also is like it's making me have to like, cause like, man, I haven't been driving all that long since I waited until I was 18 to get my license. Cause I didn't want to go through paying the driving training stuff you had to go to driver's ed. But so much of driving is automatic, in your brain. Like you do a lot of stuff that you don't realize you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And like, it's crazy. And so having to like step back out of your head and be like, okay, this is what I do. How do I express these? Like, it's a lot of feeling, right? Like you get a feel for whether or not you're catching up to the guy ahead of you, or they're getting away from you, or like when you look ahead to an intersection, like you have a feeling of whether or not they're going to cross in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Or, it's not. And how do I get that across to somebody who doesn't have the experience to know how fast the car stops, how fast the car accelerates, what happens if I jerk this thing off to the side or like slam the brake? Well, like, and so like I'm showing her like, just mash the gas. See how it feels to just go, and like feel how long it takes to accelerate. Now stomp on the gas, feet or the brake. Now feel how long it takes, or take your foot off the gas. Feel how long it takes to coast. Get a feel for that, because like, don't touch the brake unless you anticipate coming to a complete stop or need to bleed acceleration fast. Like, don't, because otherwise you're going to cause the next guy to hit his brake and his brake and his brake all the way back, and now you've caused a traffic jam. Like,
and you want to be comfortable because most accidents are caused by people freezing up. Yeah, like 90% of accidents that I've seen, like all four wheels are locked up and the car is just going like straight as an arrow, smashing into its target. And it's like, because they freeze up, they just mash the brake and they just lock up and they're like, oh God, please stop, please stop, please stop. And it's, if you stay aware of the situation, you can actually get around a lot of stuff. Like, you know how many rear end accidents I've avoided from being rear ended to hit somebody by just like staying calm and just getting over on the shoulder? I actually had one where I literally got over on the shoulder and the guy behind me tapped the car in front of me. So he was literally like, he hit the car lightly that was in front of me. I'm on the side of the road and I'm like proud of myself, because I'm like, well, I didn't get in the accident, but if I had been in there, he would have hit me, a full car length before he tapped the other guy. And he would have rammed me right into him like those little freaking, kinetic balls. And so I avoided that and I was like, oh my gosh. And so they had to pull over to the side of the road and exchange information. And I got out and said, oh yeah, I witnessed the whole thing, because they wanted a statement from me. But I was like, yeah, I wasn't involved in an accident because I thought about it. But if I had just crammed on the brakes and freaked out, oh yeah, I would have grenaded the dude in front of me. There was no way I was slowing down. Adam said, Aux, can we meet up in a parking lot? I'll let them scare the poop out of themselves.
That'd be good.
Set up a fake road rage situation to like train your kiddo how to drive.
She's pretty nervous about the whole thing anyway. And like, I'm teaching her in the Jeep, right? Which is a pretty big vehicle. I'm not a fan of putting newbie drivers into big vehicles, even though like there's like this, I don't know where it comes from, but it's like everybody thinks that you should drive safer, which is so wrong. I don't think it's true. I have no data to back it up or anything, but it's,
dude, have you seen the crash test where they took like an old, like they took like an old giant freaking Chrysler Cordoba, which is like a car, it's like 23 feet long or whatever, right? And they crashed it into a freaking like Prius, and it just buckles the whole front end of the giant car in. The steering column goes through the seat, the pedals come up into the seat. I mean, absolute 100% fatality, and it didn't even break the windshield on the Prius. The Prius's windshield was not even cracked. I was like, holy crap, dude.
And I don't know. I've liked small cars because I feel like I can see more, I can react quicker. I'm a smaller target, right? I can dodge and weave and like get out of the way faster,
accelerate faster, turn faster, brake. I mean, everything's faster, right? Weight's everything.
We've driven just a little. Actually, it was pretty far. She still hasn't gotten the hang of shifting. So like, I was telling her to hit the clutch, and I was actually like shifting. No, Podlace, my car, my Veloster is the manual. The Jeep is automatic. Any car after like 2000 is almost certainly going to be an automatic. Like,
yeah, like manuals are a specialized thing now. Like, you have to pay more. Like Porsche right now, if you want like a 6-speed gated manual, you're paying like a massive premium.
I I would love an MGB. Are you kidding?
Oh, MGBs
Or
are
like,
pretty cool.
or like, we could go way back and get like a 1964 MG. They look like tiny little oh crap, what's the word? They were really long. They had like an inline 12-cylinder.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about, the Jaguar.
No, well, that was a brand, but they oh crap, I can't remember now. I think it starts with a D.
Did you sit really far back and it was like just a really long front end on it?
Like Cruella DeVille's car, right?
Oh,
super long
okay.
engine compartment, 2 seats in the back. I think it starts with
Caterham.
a D.
Is it a Caterham?
No, that's not hitting the right spot. Maybe they made one of them like that, but they're really old.
Oh, it's an actual old car. So this is
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Crap.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought he was talking about an E-Type too, but no, he's talking about something older, like the old school cars where you like open the side panel to get at the motor.
Yeah, like the engine thingies fold up from the side. Fuck.
Duesenberg.
Duesenberg.
Yes,
that's it.
The Duesenberg.
That's it. The Duesenberg.
Dude, Jay Leno loves those.
Oh my god. So MG made like in the 60s, they made a tiny one. It looks just like it, but it's tiny. It can't be more than like 10 feet long, but they look just like it. It's so cool. I would flip my shit for any MG.
The funny thing is, I could see you like driving like that because you like with the little beady like aviator goggles with your beard and stuff. Like I think you would fit that perfect, like a little top hat, like like penguin.
And in Northern California, there's actually quite a few like of those like older Alfa Romeos, the MGs, those tiny little 2-door scoot about thingies, because guys kept them in their barns and stuff. There's like, I was on Craigslist all the time, and they're a little beat up and whatnot, but man, Morgan, a Morgan 3-wheeler.
Morgan vehicles are awesome. They just have that retro look.
I remember there was a dude here in Seattle. This would have been like 15 years ago now, who was making replicas in his garage, like one-offs for people. And the company, like the British company, like snatched him up, hired him to revitalize the 3-wheeler, and now they mass produce them. They're like 45 grand or so with the exposed motor, and it's like a rowboat back end kind of. Yeah. It's freaking so cool.
Actually, the car, if I could have like any little just track car to like just fart around with that's like reasonably priced, it'd be a Caterham. Have you seen those Caterhams? Oh, dude, go look it up. They're so it's like was it CAT? It's like Caterham or here, hold on here.
Caterham.
Caterham. Yeah, it's like that's what it is. CAT.
Oh, that's sick. I love those.
Dude, they're so cool.
Exposed suspension like that is so cool.
No, and the thing is, they look like they're like super old school, but they handle so good and they accelerate so good and they brake so good.
It's like 1905, like Formula One.
No. There's and dude, they make one that's got like over 500 horsepower in that tiny little car. So it's like a supercharged like 2-liter 4-banger or something in it. They're absolutely insane. I watched a video of one of those just kicking the ever living shit out of an Ariel Atom around a track. And it's the funniest thing to see because the Ariel Atom looks like some super like futuristic car with like, inboard suspension. And you got this Caterham with like old school suspension and shit like that. But no, they're just so light. They weigh nothing. Like they're and there's a guy around here that owns one like where I live. Yeah. Every once in a while on sunny days and stuff, I see him. It's not the hot one that's like 500 horsepower. It's like the one that's got maybe like 150. But I see him like zipping around that thing, and it just sounds so badass. It's just so neat. And it's all open, right? You're just sitting in the open with like this little itty bitty windshield and the helmet on. Like it's cool. I would love to have one of those, and I think they're actually fairly reasonably priced because you build it yourself. Yeah, it's a kit car. You buy the kit, you buy the motor, you put it together in your garage in like a weekend.
I know we're talking about all these cool cars and stuff, but it is a goal of mine, and I may actually hit it this year. I do want to buy like a late 90s, early 2000s Miata. Y'all can roast me for it all you like, but dude,
why would they? Miata's actually still the car today that they use to train most race drivers. They all start their career in Miata.
It's the cheapest, like neat little fucking rear wheel drive go-kart. You guys can pick on me all you like, but I want one super bad. And I'd get the hard top for it. I want one super bad. it's part of why I got to sell all my parts and stuff and really get into the MX-5. Yeah, sure, but
The problem is
yeah.
they're kind of expensive. There was like a
The
time where they
newer
were cheap,
ones-
and now they're expensive for some
because a
reason.
lot of guys are getting into it too,
I think that's what it
to
is.
buy for hooning around and that sort of thing.
Yeah, buddy of mine bought one for like $500 like 20 years
Yeah.
ago, like I mean, or 15 years ago, and he'd take it to the track. Hell, I used to see him in Lemons races all the time, and now you hardly ever see him in the Lemons race because they're too expensive. You can't, because I think in Lemons you have to build the car for like under $500 or something all in.
Oh, sure.
And people used to be able to buy these just clapped out Miatas or whatever for like $150, and then rat rod some old engine out of a Honda or something into them. But they're great cars. Matter of fact, Dirtfish Rally School, all their instructors train in a Miata.
It makes sense.
It's crazy because it's cheaper to maintain. Yeah, that's why they did it, is because one, it's cheaper to maintain. Don Wooten, I think he might be their chief instructor now. But
nice.
no, Nate is. Sorry, Nate Tennis. But Don Wooten, one of their lead instructors up there, he was the one that told me that if you can drive a Miata fast, if you can drive a Miata fast, you can drive any car on the planet fast. Like
nice.
The Miata is the most unforgiving, ass happy, sliding around, flipping around. Like he said, if you can master that thing on the autocross like circuit that they have, with the skinny little tires and like no weight and no power or whatever, he's like, oh man, you can drive anything. So yeah, they have two of them out of Dirtfish that are They just
Kevlar says it can't get fast enough to get into trouble. Hey, that's fine. Hey, the thing is, it doesn't have to go. It has to feel fast. It doesn't have to actually go fast, right? And when you get that tiny, 100 miles an hour is feeling like you're flying. So I'm down. I want one just to go out at 3 a.m. and take my lady on some crazy on ramps and stuff and just let it rip.
Yeah. Like there's something to be said about a car that feels like you're going 1,000 miles an hour when you're going like 30.
The thing is, I would have to store it like somewhere else. There's like no extra parking at my new house. Like there's a few people who are parked on the street right now where they're building new houses like across from me. They're not gonna be able to park on the street. Like that's a dude's front. The next house, the house across from me, they're basically parked right in front of it. The homeowner's not gonna let them do that. That's annoying as fuck. Go park in your own driveway. So,
dude, it's a Miata. Just you and a friend could just lift it up and put it on the roof. Like
put it in the backyard. Just turn it on its side and slip it down the side.
Exactly.
Of the house.
Just roll it up on its door or whatever, and like shove it in the gravel down alongside your house. It'll be fine. Richard said, "Does Dirtfish Rally School build Subarus for their customers?" Yeah, actually, you can. Yeah, Dirtfish. If you have to give them a car, and I don't know how much they charge, but yeah, they do cage work, they do engine suspension work. They got a full garage there. I don't know. I mean, I haven't talked to them about it in a long time, but even my car had work done there. Yeah. So I took my car there. It had the lightweight flywheel, the clutch, the new steering wheel installed, the new teen suspension was installed and tuned by them. They do all kinds of stuff. Like, give them a call up if you're interested in having a rally car built. They'll build it, and you can also rent their track too. I mean, it's big money, but if you want to rent a rally track to go test your car on and get it all shaken down, they'll do all that stuff. They're awesome. And they don't just do WRXs anymore. They also do BRZs now. They have a rear wheel drive school.
That'd be really cool too. I wouldn't mind either one. Like I think they're all BRZs now because Toyota scrapped their the Scion thing. They scrapped Scion.
Yeah, was the T. No, not the TC. What the hell was it called? The Scion
GT86. Oh no, that was the Toyota labeled one.
The TC.
I can't remember.
I think it might have been the TC.
Maybe that sounds about right though. But yeah,
they're all the same car. They're all exactly the same. All the panels are interchangeable. It's like the interior has like 2 badges changed between all of them. They only build one Subaru for this. This is what's funny. They only build one Subaru BRZ for every 10 AE86s. And so the AE86 is like a $3,000 or $5,000 cheaper car. And I kid you not, the interiors, everything's exactly the same. There is nothing on that car that's different. Oh, it's the FRS. That's what it was.
That's what it was. Yeah, Scion FRS and the Subaru BRZ. And then outside of the US, it was the GT86. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Jay's 2 cents and I did the rear wheel drive class out at Dirtfish. We did a whole video on that on both of our channels. And I can tell you what, the rear wheel drive stuff is way more challenging to hold your speed through corners and stuff like that. I bet. But the all wheel drive cars in the dirt, oh my God, for speed, like there's no contest. So the BRZs are just a way more technical car. Like it's harder to drive them fast in the dirt. It really is. And they're a lot more tail happy than the Subarus. But oh my God, or sorry, the STIs. But man, the STIs just grip in the gravel like nothing else. Like honestly, on the back straight on their course, you can hit almost 90 miles an hour in the dirt, in the loose dirt, going 90 miles an hour, and you're basically like grenading the brakes and sliding the car sideways when you're decelerating like 60 miles an hour, looking out the side window, going, "Am I gonna die?" Like it's a wild experience. If you guys ever get a chance, go up Dirtfish. Tell them old Barnacules sent you. They might even give you a discount or something. But holy crap, is that a good time? Right. Of all the things I've done in my life, that's probably like a top 5 easily. Is to go do a rally class. And it's scary. It's scary, dude. It's scary as fuck. Holy cow.
I bet.
Even me, like, it's like, even after doing, I think I probably don't hold the record anymore, but for years I held the record as having the most consecutive classes there. Like, I literally did, like, was it 3 days, a 2-day advanced class, which you have to take the 3-day first to do the advanced class, and I did a 1-day to start it all off. So, so I had enough points on because they give you get points too. Like, if you want to get your license, you can go out there and take their class, and they'll actually sign off your hours and your seat time so that you can get your SCCA rally license. So if you want to leave your 3-day course or whatever, and you might have to do like 2 or 3 3-day courses, but once you accrue the time, then you can go get your rally license and go join in the higher ranks. Because you can get like a low level license where you basically just take your car out and just beat on it in the woods. But like if you want to do the one where you're like full Hans device, what is it, Group A or what the hell is it, Group N? Or whatever, like basically there's a series that you run in rally that's considered like professional, and to do that you have to have your SCCA rally license or whatever. But you don't have to if you want to just go out in the woods and just beat the ever living shit out of your car into the ground, as long as your car is under a certain horsepower, and I think it has to meet some minimum safety requirements or whatever. You can go out and do some of these rallies, which is a lot of fun. But you will kill your car. Just so you know, your car will die. Like, go do rally if you want to take your street car and go have fun. Go do SCCA Rallycross. That's where it's like packed dirt and concrete, and you're not going to hurt anything. It's just a big open field. Like you might hit a cone and get like a scuff on your wax job, but it's super safe. Like I've gone and done it. I even did a video on YouTube of me doing it. But if you want to actually go out and rally in the woods with like potholes and stuff like that, you will destroy your car. I've gone with 2 people now that just took their street car and did that, and it didn't even make it to the end. It's literally like less than a mile. Like the course that they were doing is like less than a full mile, and both cars got their suspension completely destroyed. So just don't, hitting potholes at like 60 miles an hour, no bueno, and a car not designed for it. Yeah, right. It's a good time though. It's a good time as long as it's not your car.
All right.
You want to talk about these Amazon spy cams?
Let's do it. We're an hour in. I think is a good time to do it.
I think we warmed up the audience.
Yeah. Honestly, this isn't too surprising. So here, I'll post the link in the chat for everybody. Spam it up. So I guess, so I'm sure anybody in the States, I don't know how widespread this is, but anybody in the States, I'm sure has been seeing the Amazon Prime vans going about. This is how you get your deliveries and shit, right? So I know they do like gig workers too, where like it'll be like your own personal car. I think they do a little bit of that too, but most of them are these vans and stuff. And I guess it turns out that they're starting to put cameras in the vans that they're not dash cams. They're watching the driver, and they're looking for mistakes that the driver makes. It says here the cameras will be on all the time, but it will only upload footage for 16 actions, including hard braking, driver distraction, and drowsiness. One person told CNBC the system was even triggered by the driver yawning. The Kentucky-based driver said if someone yawns, they will be told to pull over for 15 minutes.
And then and how much you want to bet they penalize them for being late? Oh, like they make them pull over for 15 minutes because they yawned, and then they rip them at the end of the day. Like, you didn't deliver all your packages, you son of a bitch.
I imagine there is a bit of a quota, and like I know some of my packages have been listed as like, oh, this will be delivered today by 10 p.m.
Yeah,
and so and legit, I've had packages delivered at maybe not that late, but definitely later in the evening. And part of it, page returns a 404. I mean, that's maybe I accidentally.
No, I clicked on the work fine.
I may have pressed a bad button.
Oh, it worked for me when I was.
My bad. Try that. I may have hit when going for the enter button. I probably, hit.
Was it just on the first link? It must have been on the first link because I clicked the last one you pasted and it was fine.
Yeah, it may have been. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of. They're trying to say, oh, this is like safety, blah 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 blah. But like, how much how dangerous really are their drivers being that they need to implement this? I feel like it's I don't know. It just
ask
seems
Adam.
Right? Yeah.
Dude, I've heard from like 3 different people now that Amazon has like run their shit over, hit their dogs, smashed into their, but these are all things that wouldn't be on the street, right? These aren't driving problems. These are like navigating in somebody's like parking lot problems.
Yeah. All new Teslas have driver looking cams. Sure. And I get some of that, you know, they're like sleepy warning cameras and stuff, right? But is that staying local? Is that being uploaded to, I'm sure it is probably uploaded to some neural network of Teslas and stuff. I don't know. It just seems.
I think it'd make them more unsafe though, because what makes you more nervous than somebody watching everything you're doing?
Right. Well,
nothing makes you more nervous than that, honestly. Well, I mean, I don't know if I would though. Like, because you're driving and you're like thinking, oh, a car stopped in front of me. You're not thinking grenade the brakes to save myself. You're thinking, oh shit, if I grenade the brakes, I'm gonna get in trouble. And then you just rear end the person because you're like thinking too long. It's like you got to be able to make split second decisions. And you're not going to do that if this fucking camera's looking at you and wedged in there. Like, it's always testing you. I know I get nervous when people like backseat drive me all the time. Like, oh God, slow down. Oh, dude, you're not going to make that corner or whatever. It's like, shut the fuck up. I know what I'm doing. I'm concentrating, you know?
Yeah.
But I do understand being a business. It's like they do have the right to make sure that their drivers, you know, are driving safe. And it probably helps with their insurance premiums if they can like tell the insurance company that they're monitoring their drivers and they're only hiring safe drivers and stuff like that.
Yeah. And this article seems to me to be trying to spin this as something like super bad, like, oh, it's Big Brother watching over. But
it's their vehicles. It's a job. Yeah. You're on the clock. I mean, I was recorded in the hallways of Microsoft walking around. They had cameras everywhere.
It wouldn't be much different than like if my boss started tracking like how often I go to the bathroom or something. What I see is like they could be super strict about how, you know, like you were saying, like, oh, they probably ding them for being late, or, you know, you get too many points docked from your Amazon license and now you can't drive for 6 months or something. And it was like little shit that, you know, you didn't actually do anything bad, but they're going to get you in trouble for, you know, for something you could have done bad. Oh, you looked a little sleepy today during your driving, and so we're going to give you a week off so that you could, you know, unpaid. And like, I could see that sort of thing where it'd be used for like over punishment, you know? Because like, honestly, with the way things are today, like you are a commodity as a human being, as a worker. You can be easily replaced at any moment. You are not special. You are not unique. Your job, like, I can't imagine there's anything out there that you could not, that there aren't 100 other people clamoring to have your job.
Yeah.
And so like, that's kind of unfair and they'll do it to use just to squeeze every little drip of productivity out of somebody. And I mean, this combined with the fact that I'm seeing these, 10 to 12 hour like shifts being dropped on, this is more for warehouse stuff, but like it does seem to be just the difference between a worker and a robot is that the human is cheap and disposable. Oh, good point. Like, that sounds like a joke, but that is the truth of it.
It's fucking harsh, but it's true. It's absolutely true.
It is. And man,
well, it's like I watched what was it? An auto manufacturer opened here in the United States. Can't remember if it was in Texas or whatever, but they basically said that they replaced like 300 workers with 100 robots, like 100 automated like construction robots. And they're like, the cost per robot was like $1.2 million or something like that. But they're like, and the worker that did the skilled work or whatever was only getting paid like 60 grand a year. But they're like, these robots will run for like the next 50 years. Like, these things are built like brick shit houses. They have minimal maintenance. The company that sold it to them has a maintenance plan that they pay so much for a year that's like way cheaper than a labor. And it's like, once you start to realize that if you think long term, the machines can do way more work. They can work 24 hours a day. You don't have to give them benefits. If you get mad, you can kick them and throw shit at them without going to prison. It's like there's lots of perks, like from a business owner perspective, for automation. Like, automation has always existed. It's just now proliferating into the physical world, right? Mm-hmm. And you try to think, it's like, well, what jobs do humans do then? If robots can do all the jobs? And what it comes down to at the end, like if you look at the whole tree, is just software developers. Like, you are the people making the robots and the software to do the job. You're no longer doing the job.
I've touched on this in other forums, I suppose, where like, okay, what if robots take over all of our jobs, right? What are humans going to do? And at some point it'll flip, right? When everything or most of everything is mass produced by robots, there will be a market for handmade stuff, like there is today.
Yeah, there is really.
Etsy is big, right? But also like bespoke furniture, or handmade turned wood or whatever. You'll see a bigger increase in artistic pursuits, creative pursuits, and there will be a market for human made stuff. The commodity, I mean, you see it in Walmart and Target and fucking Amazon, where it's just commodity stuff punched out by the millions by robots.
Yeah.
But there's also a place for bespoke, handmade, like human creative stuff. And I think that will grow. You'll see, craftsmanship. That's the word.
And then Wish.com will just start naming robots like Samantha and John and stuff, and then they'll just run like fractal algorithms to create art, and they'll lie and say that people are making it, but it's not.
That is the thing too. Like we are seeing AI driven art, at least, and things like that. So there will be a bit of a fuzzy gray area where like, we had a machine actually did the work, but like it's a human design, right? Or something like that. It'll be cool. Boston Dynamics didn't want to show its lubing attachments when it launched the ARM and Enterprise last week. True story. Are you telling me Spot can like give me a handy? Is that what you're saying? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be like.
Well, suddenly it's $20,000 price tag or whatever is justified now.
Yeah, what do you mean lubing attachments? Like,
hey, Haddington Dynamics told me that their Dexter arm is capable of doing that if you counterweight it.
Oh
so
man,
they said it is capable of holding the weight of a fleshlight and sufficient torque. So if you guys were looking for a reason to buy an HD Robotics Dexter arm, there you have it. There you have it. Yeah, it's like best money you ever spent.
Or people like me who fix machines. That could eventually be replaced too. You'll have robots fixing robots. Yeah.
You kind of already do. Like if you think about it, there's a lot of times where there is like when you go to a mechanic and your car has a problem, they don't pop the hood and like start fucking with shit anymore. They just plug a cable into it and it's like, oh, code this, push this button to order parts from manufacturer. It's like it would be very trivial to program a robotic arm or whatever to do what that guy just did. Like to run the codes, order the parts. Okay, then you got a car pulls in, it locks in, and the robotic assembly, all the jigs and everything for pulling off the components. Have you ever seen how the cars are like assembled in the factory? It's crazy. Like a giant robotic arm takes like the whole interior, like the seats, and like place. Another thing comes up from the bottom. It's like all the nuts at once, like 24 nuts, done, and the car is moving along. It's all like each motion that a human would do has a bespoke piece of hardware that just does that one thing flawlessly and quickly.
Yeah. And so Bulldog Fan 1995, he says the robots will have to buy the crap they build because humans will not have jobs. If you want the best economy in the world, reverse everything the corporations do to increase productivity, adding jobs. It would take a fundamental shift in what we see as an economy. Right? We've gone really, really deep into the like. Now we're touching on a subject I'm not very knowledgeable on, economics and things like that. So I don't want to go too deep into this. But at
like
some
going on
point,
topics I don't know shit about. Let's do it.
Well, at some point, your value as a human being cannot be judged by your productivity, right? Either a universal income or just another form of evaluating value to human existence. Does that make sense?
We all just become batteries in the Matrix. We all have like an intrinsic voltage we put out. That's our word.
The whole concept of I mean, look, I've said this a bunch too. You boil it all down. Money is a system for exchanging time and effort.
Yeah.
Okay, my time, I am exchanging my time to my job for a certain amount of value, or for a commodity that represents the value of my time. I have agreed with the company that my time is worth a certain amount, whatever. And and it doesn't matter. It could be fucking widgets. It could be bottle caps, right? It doesn't matter the physical representation of that value or that
Yeah, like
time.
precious metals, gold,
It's
silver. Yeah.
it's the agreement that I can exchange my time for goods and services. And so we need some sort of representation of that. And at some point, I kind of lost my train of thought, but at some point, the system of exchange will change, right? Money is a value of work, just like horsepower, electricity. Right. And you're exchanging that representation of value for other forms of work. Or
you don't have
time.
to find somebody to buy. You don't have to find somebody to buy your chicken. It's like you don't have to sit there and waste all your time trying to find somebody to do the transaction. What you have, you give them money, and then they can give it to somebody else. Give it to somebody else, and somebody eventually gets the chicken. But you don't have to like go and make that connection. You don't have to find somebody who needs like a gallon of oil in exchange for a gallon of gasoline, right?
See, so
money takes that out.
Yeah, John Snow says if no one is working and making money, who will buy the shit robots make? I can't
Other
express.
robots.
I can't necessarily express how that shift would have to be. How that shift. The assumption is that's the only way to exchange value is by working, is by producing something of value, and that isn't necessarily the case. Like. Or not in the way that we do it now, right? If no one is working, people have an inherent desire to work, to do something. Like people always argue, oh, if we do a universal basic income, nobody will want to do any work. They'll all just live on this minimum subsistence. And that's so not true. People want to be valuable. They want to be valuable.
Being paid to do something makes you feel good. It does. It makes you feel like you're accomplishing something.
Like it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to express what I'm feeling here correctly. And it, if you want to live in which, well, it's just man, I don't know how to express this. The concept of the value. I think that it would come to a different. We would have to come to a different idea of what value is, or what the goal of your if it gets to a point where I don't know, it almost feels like a barter system. I don't know. Look at everybody in Dubai who basically blow away money, destroy cars for fun, have no value or understanding of it. But the thing is, the value of it is all a subconscious agreement that we all have with each other, the social contract, right? We've all at some point agreed that our time and effort has some sort of value.
That's why the cost of living changes so dramatically from area to area, right?
Yeah.
It's like they eat the same food, they're burning the same gasoline. Yeah. So why is it so much cheaper versus so much expensive? It's what people are willing to pay for it to be in that area. Yeah,
exactly. A family member, or a family-in-law member, I guess would be the way of putting it.
Adam said we need Star Trek, but we live in Star Wars. That's so true.
Absolutely
so true.
That's a good visualization.
Like the Federation actually is like what we strive for, right? Where every human basically just does a job, right? They figure out what they want to do. What do they want to be, an artist, a warp engineer, whatever? They get all the education they need to do that job, and they be successful at that job. And in exchange, they get everything that they need to live a fulfilling life and to enjoy their life. It's like that is a good like contract to have across the board.
And I think eventually when we get to a point, and it really does come back around to energy, right? Star Trek has the society they do because they found a
free energy,
essentially limitless form of energy, which then caused, well, if I can power everything for free for little to no effort, then I can focus on other things. And Yeah, it would become, like you said, whatever you want to pursue can be provided to you at such a minimal effort that anyone can pursue whatever they want.
Yeah, it's like food synthesized, recycling's 100%. Like so if those things were true, which I mean, laws of thermodynamics kind of throw that shit out the window. But let's say it was true, then you wouldn't have a problem giving everybody like an equal share.
Yeah,
that's the problem right now that you have, is that one, we agree on what money is worth, right? It's a constantly moving scale. Mm-hmm. And then we all agree what money is worth. And in some areas it's worth more than others, right? Depending on your currency, your denomination, where you're at, what you get paid, cost of living, all those things factor into it. But then you run into the problem like Adam was talking in chat, where people that have a ton of money can use that money to make more money. Like literally the money itself, it escapes this critical mass where their value basically just keeps building on itself, purely because of the resources that they have in the beginning and everybody else needing those resources. Whereas the people that don't have a lot of resources, they get exploited because they get fewer resources than what they put out. And then they're constantly kept into like perpetual servitude. And it's like, how do you get out of that model? Because right now it's like the people with the most money do the least amount of work, and the people with the least amount, not always across the board, but I'm just saying on average, the people that do the most work, most physically demanding work and everything, get paid the least. Yeah. And so you have a society that's built on predatory practices. I mean, it really is. Like, even when I worked for Microsoft, it's like I went to every day. I went in my office. I made software. I saved the company $10 million many times. They paid me my, paltry $136,000 a year or whatever, which was a lot. I mean, that was, and then they gave me bonuses and stock, but they made me feel like I was making like a shitload. They always made me feel like, man, look, here, we're going to give you rewards. But what I was doing for the company was way more than what they were doing for me. And the second that you do not provide for the company what they provide to you, then you go away. You're no longer worth. That is a one-way contract for them. It's like it's not. It doesn't swing back and forth. It's like the second they're like, we make $5 less keeping you here than if we just fired you and got somebody else. You're gone. You're done. I mean, that's your value to the company. Hey, Dave, thank you for that super chat. That's first super chat of the day. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that, man. £2. He said, hey, Jerry and Ox, how's it going? Hope all is good. I mean, I'm doing all right. How about you, Ox?
Yeah. Oh, it's good. Yeah, man.
Looking good, buddy.
Yeah.
I had a rough day yesterday, but I'm doing okay today. Like today, I mean, hey, new horizons, right?
Little sleepy. Got to poop. So, I don't know. So John here in the chat says, on UBI, there's no incentive to work. Only those who want a better life. Then that on UBI will work to get ahead. Okay. That's kind of a sweeping generalization. I do agree that a small percentage of a population will just subsist. I don't see a problem with that. In the same way that as a young person working and having taxes taken out of my paycheck, that were going to schools that I didn't have kids in, that were going to roads that I didn't drive on, I was being taxed for a train that I don't ride, but it does provide for others, and I'm okay with that. And I think there are, the vast majority of human beings are in a similar way. I do not think that this loud people who are like, oh, I got mine, so you shouldn't get yours. I feel no need to help anybody. These random nobodies that I don't know is, I don't know. I don't
see. I disagree that it doesn't help you. I just think people don't look far enough into the future. Like, let me give you an example. So you said you have the train, right? So you pay taxes for train. Same thing. It's like there's lots of things that we pay for that everybody collectively puts in as a part of the democracy, so that everybody, everybody pays. A social contract. But I do believe that social contract does affect everybody long term. So like you may pay for that train and you may not ride that train, but the people that make your meals every day when you go to a restaurant may ride that train. The people the people that operate that train may have links to your family members and stuff like that and support their family, which then takes financial stress off you later on if you had to step in and help them. It's like there's so many dynamics that happen in society because we all work together collectively that I think those things are like the school. People are like, I hear this argument all the time. People are like, I do not have kids. I should not have to pay for a school. And it's like, okay, on its surface, I understand your argument. Why are you paying for shit that you don't use? But the truth is, every person that goes to that school is getting an education so that they can grow up and do the jobs that you need to have a good life. They're going to be the people building your house. They're going to be the people building your car. They're going to be the people serving your damn food at the restaurant. They're going to be the people that you interact with, and you want to have good interactions. You don't want to have somebody that's like fucking raised by wolves trying to stab you when you're trying to get a cheeseburger. You want somebody who was actually like raised and understands how to give you proper change and understands how to have a good social relationship. So it's like, that's when you're paying into the schools, you're paying into the next generation, like being capable of doing the things that you need and other people need. That's what you're really doing.
Yeah, there've been many studies that show the main source, the main cause of crime is lack of resources.
Yeah,
they don't have, they can't, for whatever reason, that area does not provide the resources to take the pressure off of living. And so they have to like fight back, right? It puts you in a position where you have to bite, right?
Yeah, we're only nice because we can afford to be nice. If society breaks down, you can't afford to be nice, and it's just like, eat or be eaten. You will eat.
Like I come from an area that's pretty sketchy. Okay, Auburn Valley. Okay, South King County, Auburn Valley. And I can tell you right now that the sketchy kids that I hung around with were sketchy kids because they didn't have the resources to do any better. Yep. You know, there were like 12 or 13 kids living in this house, like, or not like all the time, but there was, we called it the 7th Street house. There were kids in there all the time. Some of them did not have anywhere else to go. And why is that? Because the adults that should have been responsible for them didn't have the resources available to properly care for them, to provide. And like, if and this is where things kind of break down, is we have a tough time agreeing on what the base minimum should be, right? Government housing and things, right?
And it changes area to area. That's why I think the universal basic income, that's the one thing that I have a problem with, is like $15 is going to be nothing to somebody who lives in San Francisco, dude, but it's going to be everything to somebody who lives in Alabama, right? It's
absolutely
like that. It needs to be based on the area, a good quality of life in the area that you live in.
Yeah. And that's just a hard thing to agree on.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm all for it. I think I like the idea of helping like the less fortunate, or just not even the less fortunate, everyone. I like the idea of helping humanity as a whole be at least okay. You know?
The thing is, you can leave people like wanting for more. That's the thing is, like, somebody can have a roof over their head and be able to have food and have electricity and have heat and still want for more. Like the whole concept of, just because you have barely enough to get by, you're going to be cool with that and you're just never going to do anything again. I think there's always going to be people like that. There will be, but if they choose that path, what path would they have chose otherwise? They would have just been on the streets and they would have been like addicted to drugs and they would have been robbing people. It's like, it still makes sense to me that in order for you to have a group of people come together, like in a communal way and all work together and be able to obey laws and get along together, you can't just keep taking a large part of that and just sticking it on the sideline and be like, fend for yourselves. Like you guys got every raw deal. You didn't go to school because you were raised in the wrong neighborhood. Your parents were poor, so you were raised in poverty. You got a public education, but it was a piss poor one because the teachers didn't get paid shit and the school wasn't funded well. It's like you start looking at those things adding up, and it's like you end up creating a person that would have been so much better and so much more productive if you didn't literally stack the deck against them from day one.
And there's a ton of that. There's a ton of proof that shows, like, imagine, like, anybody in the chat, imagine if somebody, we'll just make a mystical somebody, paid the bare minimum, and whatever that bare minimum you picture in your head. Imagine, or just right now, take your current living situation. If I didn't have to pay the mortgage, if I didn't have to pay, hell, just the power bill, do you know how much less stress I would have in my life? Do you know how much better I'd be able to focus on the pursuits that I want to pursue? rather than the things I have to do. Like it's
financial problems ruin relationships. They ruin life. Man. They give you stress.
Well, Kevlar said it really well. Any animal under stress is a threat. Humans revert to that point very quickly. It can be a few bucks or a coffee, reducing unnecessary stress and granting drive, for lack of a better word. Absolutely. If I didn't have to think, and especially as a younger person, if I didn't have to worry about where my head was going to lay or where my next meal was coming from or how I'm going to pay my car note or whatever, like I could have taken better opportunities or different opportunities, and I probably wouldn't have quit certain jobs. I probably wouldn't have taken certain jobs.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. It's
imagine being in the situation where, oh, by the way, Dave, thank you so much for that 20-pound super chat. Dude. We really do appreciate the support, buddy. He said, first super chat. Yeah, I thought super chat might have been broken today. He said, well, here's some more love, guys, and take out a meal or and some beers on me. Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
This sounds like the advanced socialism they tried to sell to my parents back in the day. Now we're reaping the benefits from that here. And I got to tell you, it's not pretty. I'm not sure where you're at. And yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
Put it this way.
There's no solution here.
I can give a great example. Just try to put yourself in the footsteps of this guy. So you're on the street, you are freezing to death, you are starving to death. Are you going to go and rob people to survive, or are you just going to sit down and die?
Robbing is easier.
If it's easier, right? The average person is, if we are nice because we can afford to be nice. Now, if you take every single one of those people and you give them the minimum to live somewhat comfortably, but not excessively, then you put them in a position where they have an education, they're comfortable, and then if you say, hey, listen, do you want a giant 74-inch TV and an Xbox 5? Well, here's a job that you can now go do because society has this job for you because now you have an education and you didn't slip through the cracks. That person's going to be like, the average person is going to be like, yes, I would like to go and do that and get my PlayStation 5 and my giant screen TV. Like, you can still have more there. We're not saying like just give everybody a mansion and a race car, because that's not, and then nobody has any motivation to do anything. And quite frankly, nobody builds the mansion or the race car, so you got nothing to buy in the first place. But my point being is, you don't have to have the bottom be people living on the street addicted to drugs, like slowly dying and committing crime across the spectrum because they feel like they have no other choice. You might think they have another choice, but in their mind, they have no other choice. Otherwise, they wouldn't be taking those insane risks and doing those terrible things. There's mental health involved. There's the situation they're in is involved. I mean, there's a lot of stress and anxiety and stuff that can cause that. It's like in a modern society, all we're saying is if you take that away, if you raise that bar so that we just don't have people that are basically forced to turn into wild animals to get by, and you put that, I think that you have a lot more prosperous community as a whole. I think it even benefits the ultra wealthy. That's my point. Is like you don't get shot in an alley and have your necklace stolen away, like the Wayne family. In the movie, it's like you don't have a guy do that if it's like he's not desperate.
Yeah.
So it's like just take desperation away. Like and I know it's hard. Obviously it's a hard problem to solve, but I'm just saying if you focus on taking desperation away, then people can think more freely, and intellect can reign over instinct. But if you don't give them that option, instinct is always going to win. If it comes down to you got 5 minutes to live or you got to do some crazy shit, you're going to do some crazy shit.
He described the countries in Eastern Europe. I think that's where some of those countries in Eastern, and I'm not very knowledgeable about this, I feel like what I've heard from the failures of socialism to an extreme usually comes to corruption. They still take more. Someone in the system takes more than they should.
Yeah.
And it falls apart. Like I don't know. And that's going in a weird path too. Like, I don't want to go down because I'll be speaking out of my ass because I don't know enough. But like, I don't know.
You have to solve it at both ends. I think if you solve the corruption problem up high, you actually start to solve the problem down low. Because ultimately corruption is taking advantage of other people, right? For your own personal gain. Like, so.
The only reason that Bezos has $100 and some odd billion worth of worth, right, is at the exploitation of others. There is no other way to amass those sorts of resources, those massive amounts of resources, without ruining other people.
Yeah, imagine if Bezos just had 1% of his wealth that he had right now. He would still be an insanely wealthy man that could live comfortably for the rest of his life and do just about anything that he wanted to do, but all of his employees would also have that same opportunity.
Right. How are you going to solve the corruption problem up high? And that's
You don't. That's
no,
why we're talking about this.
It's Marxism time. I don't. That gets tossed around a lot. I don't know enough of the whole idea of like to each according to his need, from each according to his value or whatever. Like, you know, you give what you can and you get what you need, kind of thing. I don't know. It just comes down to like a shift in what we value as people. I think it's just, I don't know.
You can't be wealthy unless there's poor people. Otherwise, you wouldn't be wealthy, right? So I guess that's what it really comes down to. It's like you can only be wealthy and you can only be powerful and you can only feel better than everybody else if there's other people that are below you. If everybody's on an equal level, it doesn't matter if you have $1 trillion. If everybody else has $1 trillion, then you're not special. As a matter of fact, the outcry that I saw on Twitter that pissed me off the most about the minimum wage increase to like $15 is so many people were like, instead of saying I need a raise because, you know, I get paid 15 right now, I need a raise because my work that I'm doing is worth more, they instantly jump to the position of that's bullshit that they get paid $15 an hour because that's all I make right now. And it's like, you realize that's going in the wrong direction. You're basically saying that other people don't deserve to make a wage that you're even admitting is like barely getting you by. You think that they should suffer instead of you thinking you should get more.
Yeah.
And that's the wrong type of thinking. And that's why rich people are up here and why everybody else is down here is because they pit us against each other to all be like, I just want to make $1 more than that other guy so that I feel like I'm better than him. And everybody up here is laughing like, holy shit, that guy is worth $150 an hour, but we pay him $16 an hour. And he's happy because we pit him against everybody else and he makes a little bit more than everybody else. So that makes him feel special. And it's bizarre. It's a really, really bizarre mental dynamic that I think that gets thrown around with humans is that it's less about the money. Because again, it depends where you live, right? If you live in Dubai, like making probably $100 an hour is probably considered poor people. Like, oh man, you don't have a Ferrari? Like, what's wrong with you, dude? Like, what, did you import that Honda Accord? We don't even build those here. You know, it's like it depends on where you live and the social dynamic, and everybody's like in their own little cliques and everything like that. But the point being is you can't have the hyper wealthy without having the poor. Like that's literally what makes you hyper wealthy is because you are in a percentile that is small and exclusive. And if you take that away by leveling the playing field, then those people and some people may live for that too. That's the other thing too, is I know a lot of people that their wealth is a huge point of pride. Yeah. And I actually don't ding them for that. Like a lot of people work hard for that shit. And they grow their thing to work hard for that shit. I totally understand that. And I think that they have the right to do that. But if it's at the clear expense of others, like they're knowingly exploiting others to do that, and they're okay with that, then that starts getting to be a little bit of a gray area. Like I don't like that. Like it's like Bezos. I would even say like Bezos. Like he does employ a lot of people. Those people do have a job. They're able to pay their bills. They're able to have a quality of life because he created a job for them. So I will argue that. Sure. But at the same time, given the profits of the company, it would be very easy for him to pay them a lot more, which would make them a much happier workforce, and he would still be like more wealthy than anybody else, and he would still be in there, but he'd have a workforce that's happier than anywhere else. High. See, and that's the problem is like, why is 15 too high, John? Why is 30 too high or 60 too high? You're basing that off of what you make, and you believe that somebody else should be beneath you because they make hamburgers and you only get paid $15 doing something else. That's bullshit.
Why? Like it bothers me a great deal when people like degrade others who are providing a service and say that they aren't worth a living wage. They aren't worth. Okay, fine. You don't think that the guy flipping your burgers should like have enough should make it like this goes way back to the original implementation of the minimum wage, literally quoted as saying the minimum wage should be enough to live on and I do agree that it should be for an individual. Now, I don't think you should be able to like raise an entire family of 4 on minimum wage. Sure. It's a minimum, right? But
Vinny, yes, several times throughout my life, and you can just get the fuck out of here, dude.
The concept that others should have to be less than because they're providing a service that you deem to be minimal is rude. that you're literally valuing those human beings as less than you because of what they do.
Yeah.
Do you take advantage of those services? Do you you know? And I say you as a collective. Obviously, some people aren't buying MacD's hamburgers and stuff, but like, okay, then any service, the janitor who cleans your office building, the guy who picks up, I mean, garbage guys make quite a bit these days, but like, what happens when the living wage causes job loss? It comes back to the greed of the people at the top. Like the reason the big argument is, oh, if we raise minimum wage, then prices will go up. Well, prices have been going up anyway. Fuck you. Okay. Inflation, right? Prices go up anyway. So sorry, that was kind of
no,
mean.
Dude.
That was kind of mean. I'm getting spicy over this, but like
you should, because it's a spicy topic. I think this is great. It needs to be talked about.
The greed. Okay. The thing is, and I encountered this is when it really hit me, was when I was working at Starbucks. There's this concept of infinite growth. If you are constantly beholden to the profit that you can provide to the shareholders, right? If I meet my sales goals this month, my goal is then going to be bigger next month, and I have to hit that, and I have to hit the next biggest one and the next biggest one. But if I don't hit my sales goal, well, then I'm doing something wrong and I'm going to be punished for it. And my sales goal is probably still going to go up anyway, because I have to continuously produce a profit to make the shareholders and the guys at the top happy.
Bingo.
And that's not it's not sustainable. It literally cannot continue forever. I was at a Starbucks in a fairly rural area. Okay. We had practically saturated the market. We had as basically as many customers as we could. Okay. Unless more people started living in the town, how are we supposed to get more customers?
Yep.
How are we supposed to drive more sales when we are satisfying the potential customer base?
Like when you have 3 Starbucks all in the parking lot of one complex. Yeah. It's like at some point you saturate the market. Yeah.
I approached my manager about this. Like, how are we supposed to get more sales when there aren't any more people here? And she's like, I don't know. We have to try. Well, can we do like sales and stuff? Like, is there any way we can have like certain incentives? Because we were literally competing with the Starbucks that was just down the hill from us.
Yeah.
in a larger like area. It was like at a mall and stuff. Like it just, I'm sorry.
Actually, I wanted to point one thing out that I think would give a little bit of perspective here is the McDonald's argument, right? So this is what I saw a lot in chat, and I actually even got rid of a guy because he's just being a total fucking asshat about it. Let's say you make $15 an hour at McDonald's. Somebody's like, well, if it costs $15 an hour, the cost of the burgers have to go up. No, that's actually horseshit. Let me explain why. Because the margins on a company like McDonald's are huge. The franchise, there's a reason people buy franchises. There's a reason why the investors are all over it, and why the costs of these companies go through the roof, just like Microsoft in the way that they do shit, is they have such a huge margin, and they keep growing that margin because that stimulates investors, and the lion's share of all the money that company makes goes to the higher ups and the investors. If McDonald's just paid everybody $15 an hour, for instance, an arbitrary number, right? If they paid them the $15 an hour, the cost doesn't have to go up the food. Their margin just has to come down a little bit, and they have to be okay with only making $2 billion a year instead of $20 billion a year. That's the thing, is everybody's assuming that because people get paid more. No, the reason that the food is the cost that it is right now is to create that massive margin. That margin is already built in. Now, if you're a company that doesn't have that margin, if you don't have that margin, then you can justify paying your laborers what you can afford to pay them to keep that industry going at what it is. But most of these industries have insane fucking margins. Insane margins. And everybody's like, oh, but if you pay them more, the cost is going to go up. Yeah, if they want to keep the margins for the investors. But does Bezos need $100 billion? Does one person, think so? all of his investors? Let me be clear. The guy who is going and buying a stock in the company, when the guy buying a stock in the company by clicking a button on a computer is making more money than the people that are actually producing that product and making that money in the first place, that is a disparity right there. That is like, I have nothing against the guys being billionaires, but when it gets to the point where they're literally, everybody's rallying and saying, the cost of food's going to go up if you pay somebody a couple more bucks an hour so that they can actually survive and have a quality of life, when your margin is already insane. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
That's what I get mad about.
It comes back around to the greed at the top, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't around, but like the 50s seemed to be, and this was a post-war economy and things like that. The United States was the only one who had like decent manufacturing facility and stuff after the war, and that's why there was quite the boom. I know that part at least, but like from what I understand, there were better incentives for companies to reinvest the money than there are now.
Yeah.
And I don't know what changed necessarily, but I do think that's been part of the problem. Is that companies have no incentive to reinvest their profit back into their people and the company at large. Yeah, I think that is because you're right. You're right. They'll want to keep the margin at 20% or 25% or whatever the fuck so that they can keep making big profit. They don't want to share. They don't want to reinvest because human beings now are a commodity. We are replaceable parts. If you people are like, oh, unions. I don't think that's the right, because there's so many other people who will take your place. It's just, and that's shitty. I don't know.
It's funny, even after what I said, there's still people in chat that are like, oh, but what about the tips that waitresses and shit are going to miss out on because the food costs more? It's like, dude, the food already costs more. That's the fucking problem.
And tipping shouldn't be a thing anymore. No. Look, I was always paid more than the minimum wage even when I was making tips, but the fact that they can pay you ridiculously less than the federal minimum wage because they could make it up in tips is outrageous.
The point that you actually need tips, like think about that. You literally have a job with a company and you have to like panhandle your customers to make a living. Like that's a fuck situation to put your employees in, right? Now I know there's some people that, you know, that their business based on tips. Like for instance, I make my living on tips. Like when I'm online in Super Chats, I understand that. That's like my business. But if I had a job where I was being paid by somebody, I should be able to make a wage that allows me to actually be able to do my job well and not rely on me having to having to pander to customers and bad behavior and stuff like that just to try to get a couple of extra bucks so that I can survive. I think that sucks. I really do think that sucks, but
with small businesses already struggling because of the pandemic, it's not a good idea to increase the minimum wage for these businesses until things get back to normal and they can actually afford it. The problem they can't afford it is this is so nuanced and there's so many different angles here.
Yeah, chicken egg.
Because again, I think there was something happened after the 50s, and I haven't looked at it enough to know, but something happened after the 50s that either caused or allowed companies to siphon the profit and funnel it to few people without consequence. They're like and I don't know what that was. And I think that was a big problem because there's now no incentive. There's no incentive to keep your labor force well trained. They just, you know what? It doesn't matter if we have to hire new people and train them every 2 months because we're getting ours, you know? I don't know. It's and like that's why I like working where I do. My boss, I'm sure my boss makes a pretty penny. Okay, I know how much revenue the company makes. I see the sales figures. I know how much net the company is making. I know, or I can guess. It's not an exact number, but I can guess. And so I can kind of guess at what my boss is paying himself. But at the same time, I also know that my boss is very morally invested in keeping his labor force happy. He doesn't want to have to train new people. He doesn't want to have to it's just better to have a happy workforce because they're more productive. If we had to hire new people every month, the company would not produce to the level that they do.
The intellectual property is huge. Like that's one that, like I know that even just working at Microsoft. It's like when you lose a guy who has an insane amount of wealth over the whole, like replacing them is, you almost can't put a price on it because the amount of time it takes to replace them and the person that you bring in, and even if they can replace them, right? There's some people that are just irreplaceable. So, and another person made a point in here. It's like, well, what if the company's margins so thin that they can't afford it anyways? Well, then I would argue that that's a failing business, because if the CEO is the only person that can profit from the entire business and everybody else has to suffer because the margins are so razor thin, then they're sitting on the edge of a cliff and they're going to fail. Yeah. That business is going to go under. It's like when you build a business, people build it into the margin. Like you can't, like even when I worked at a computer store, it's like our margins on selling electronics or whatever were maybe like 20%, and those margins were too thin for us to bring on another technician. So instead, we just started charging massive premiums on the labor. Like we paid $9 for the technician an hour, and we charged the customer $69. That is a massive margin. That is an insane margin.
And people were paying, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like no questions asked.
You didn't see a drop in sales or anything.
Not even close.
A similar thing happened at my job. We used to do LED kits, right? We'd put colored lights into your computer.
Oh yeah, brother.
It's labor intensive. It's a pain in the ass. And for a rather poor experience in the end. To discourage customers from buying this service, jacked the price way up. People were still paying for it.
They still pay.
And so that's the trouble. That's the thing. Oh, well, if my Big Mac now costs whatever, $20, people are still going to pay.
Yeah. Like your dollar cheeseburger that you're buying, the margin on that is probably still 80%, because they can literally have like 1 out of 10 customers come in and just throw the food in the garbage and replace it, and the store is still massively profitable. Like that's my point. Is like if somebody said, what if the minimum wage was based on the profitability of the company? Like, what if it was like a percentage? Ooh. I mean, that's an interesting idea, because then you could choose if you wanted to work for the company, because if you help the profitability of the company go up, you inherently get more money. Yeah. If it was like profit share, like instead of you getting a salary, you're just like at this level coming into the company, you get this percentage, then everybody is incentivized to make the company go through the roof. And it would be like inverse stock market. It'd be like your employees would be investing in the company rather than random investors that are trying to short or destroy you or whatever to make a buck, right?
Would be awesome.
I think that's a great idea. I think there are companies that do some forms of profit sharing, but think about that. If you joined a company and the company was like, listen, we can only afford to pay you this much because this is our margin, this is how much we make, and this is the percentage you make. But if you come into the company and as employees, you help us grow the company and we get up this percentage, then this is the pay scale that you will see from that improvement.
That's great. Cause like I often hear, so I've been poking around like with small business stuff and entrepreneurship and stuff. And there is an argument of like, how as the boss, as the top dog, how do I get my employees to care as much as I do about the business? And really you can't. They're just not as invested, right? It's not their idea. It's not their company. It's not their problem, right? They're just there to work. But if you make it their problem, if you incentivize their employees to that way, that they are invested in the company, that they are getting some sort of, I imagine they would be much more willing to do a lot more than they would otherwise.
I believe so. Yeah.
You make your employees, investors.
Yeah, this Vinny guy in chat's a dipshit. Total fucking dipshit, man. No, he is. I'm going to call him out for what he is. He's a fucking arrogant little dipshit, and I bet you click on his profile, and he's probably some fucking stock day trader that fucking preys on people, and he's in here like trying to defend his stance to be better than everybody else, and he can just go fuck himself sideways.
Just to point, I'm not going to quote him, but to point at what Vinny did say, you're not wrong. Will be the first to tell you I don't know all of the ins and outs, but this isn't you've picked at one mention. You could replace McDonald's with any other company. It doesn't matter. The concept is still the same, right? The base premise is still the same. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter about McDonald's franchising. You could put Amazon in there. You could put Walmart in there. You could put Starbucks in there. It doesn't matter. Like Starbucks aren't franchised, right? They're all privately owned. No, not one single Starbucks, at least in the United States. I don't know how it might be otherwise, but they're all private owned. There's no investment.
I called it. Vinny's an algorithmic trader. Oh, did I call it or what? Did
funny.
I fucking call it? Of course, a piece of shit like that would be in here. Oh, they don't deserve to make money. It's a franchise. You don't understand how anything works. Dude, you literally sit in your mom's fucking basement and push a button to make your money on the back of other people. You can fuck off. And AuxxZillary, I know you don't like getting into like shit like this deep on Tech Talk, but no, fuck people like that. I am done with this shit. If you are so fucking entitled that you can sit there and tell laborers what they deserve when you're sitting there fucking making all your money by robbing them blind, you can just step the fuck out of here. You don't belong here. And you never did.
But then, and I think that's really the core of the whole big problem is like there are people who believe that others are less than because of what they do.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's enough of that.
Yeah, I figure that's what it comes down to. It's like you got to hold somebody else's head underwater to feel special, right? It's like, God damn it! Like, just knock it off, people.
Yeah. Sorry.
Hey, Sean, thank you for the $5 super chat. We appreciate it, brother. Hey, shit's got to get real every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Like, shit don't change if you don't say something. Doesn't have to happen all the time, but this is something I feel pretty. I just felt passionate about it, just because I understand. I understand both sides. I've lived in every like conceivable class there is, right? I grew up dirt poor. I did labor jobs. I've done jobs where I've sat on my ass and programmed computers for hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It's like I've been in all those areas, so it's like I have a unique perspective on this. And I just want to share it. And I'm all for everybody having like a shot. That's it. I just don't like driving around and seeing fucking people on the side of the road freezing their ass off and fucking dying on the streets when we live in a country of such abundance. It's just, that's what it comes down to. I don't care how you solve it. I'm not going to be the one that solves it. Like, I certainly am not smart enough to solve this problem, but you're not going to solve it by making excuses that justify how it is now.
Yeah. Yeah. And right. I think, yes, we may not necessarily have the perfect solution, us, just two guys, but to say that like, well, this is the way it is, there's nothing you can do about it, isn't the right thing to do either.
Yeah.
I think it's important to point these things out, to talk about it, because that's how you change. Hearts and minds have to be changed. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name. It's in Cyrillic. So, but hearts and minds have to be changed before the laws. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So conversation is important. Yes, we may not have a solution right now, but otherwise, if you don't talk about it, then nothing can change.
Yeah.
So.
No. All right. We'll leave it at that. And on to section 230.
Yeah. I lost the link to that.
Here, let me
I think it's still in Skype.
Yeah, you put it in Skype. Let me click on it here. So, okay, I got it. Let me open it and I'll paste it in the chat. I got
okay,
you.
Thank you.
I got you, Boo. Here's our next topic.
So this one's a little wiggly because in general, I don't think that this whole Section 230 thing should be messed with. I feel like I don't know. Like, how do I put this? Twitter, Facebook, whatever, Instagram shouldn't be, the company who provides the tool shouldn't be held responsible for how the tool is used.
Couldn't agree more.
Right. So if that's the case, then we should start holding Smith & Wesson responsible for school shootings.
There's people that would believe that, but it's bullshit. Oh man, I got to pee so bad. I'll be right back.
I think it comes to like the extent to which they're held responsible, right? And how that responsibility is held to them. I don't think it would be right for like the survivors of a disaster like that to sue the company that made the gun. I do think that there should be better ways of the gun example. I think isn't quite right, because I think that they should be trained and licensed just like you are with a vehicle, with a car, right? And I don't see the problem with that. I don't know why that isn't the way things are. I have to register my car. I have to prove that I know how to use it. I have to have insurance in case I fuck up. That's how guns should be, in my opinion. That's how guns should be. But yeah, but it's the bullet that kills Sosu, the ammo maker. Sure. Yeah. Right. But that's besides the point. It isn't right. And then people are going to start arguing about, and yes, if they open up the door to allow litigation against the platform, then then the platform will just come down even harder on the content that, and you're going to see bannings for things that would be barely a blink otherwise, because they're for fear of.
Well, remember, even if the company banned you after you post something, they would still be liable, which means they couldn't even afford you the opportunity to be able to post anything, which means the only thing you would ever see on social network would be human curated posts.
Yeah.
It would have to, they literally, and it would be, you'd have
more
to pay,
jobs.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Hey, I guess that's the bright side. But
Mechanical Turks.
Yeah. So imagine a social network where the whole idea of social media is fast moving information. Imagine if you posted something and you had to wait 3 to 7 days for a human to approve your post before it was posted. We'd basically be thrown back into the Stone Age as far as like waiting for newspapers and like snail mail. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. And here's the thing is, like, I would actually argue for Section 230 being abolished if there was nobody that could be held accountable. But that's not the point here. The person who commits the offense is still liable. So if I go on social media and I say something that opens me up to criminal liability, they can still come after me. Like they just can't go after the platform. Right. And that actually does make a lot of sense, because that'd be like, you know, if somebody robs a bank, you don't impound the getaway car. You take the driver and you put him in jail. Right.
Yeah.
He's the one that consciously made the decision that led to the infraction. It doesn't make any sense to punish the tool or the inanimate thing that was used. And the other thing, too, is like, I still believe that social media should be held to like the laws, as far as, you know, if you see illegal content on your platform and stuff like that, remove it and ban the parties. And they do that. Like the platforms do have an investment in doing that. But I do completely disagree with, if I go on the platform and tell somebody they can go fuck themselves sideways, that they can come after Twitter for liable because Twitter happens to have more money. Like that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It's like, you got to come after me and squeeze that blood out of a turnip. Like you can't go after it'd be like if you had a board, a cork board or something at a campsite that people posted things on, and some guy goes up and draws a dick on it, and so they sue you for exposing everybody that looked at that board until you came along and removed it. That you get sued by all those people because like some guy made the conscious decision to do that. It just doesn't make any sense. By that same logic, if you wrecked into people, you would not be held responsible for it. The cars would. Like, everybody would sue Ford because you rear-ended somebody because you didn't apply the brakes because you were fucking around on your cell phone. And there's even video showing that you were sitting there fucking around on your cell phone, not paying attention when you rear-end them. They're like, you know what? We're going to sue Ford because they have more money and they built the car that enabled you to wreck into me. Like if you didn't have a car, then you couldn't have wrecked into me. So I'm going to argue that Ford's. It just doesn't make sense, guys. Like, I don't understand why this is even a point of contention, that people are even talking about this. I mean, I get that there's, no matter what, there's people on both sides. But to open the liability to somebody who literally sells a service. Yeah. And that service is literally like, you agree to the terms of service. Like, you literally, when you're creating your account, you promise that you're not going to do all these things to break the rules. You're not going to post illegal content. You're not going to bully people and attack people. You agree to that when you create the account. And people are suddenly like, you know, I think that we should be able to sue Twitter, even though we agreed to those terms when we joined. That makes no sense. That's like you walk into the grocery store. It's like, no shirt, no shoes, no service. And you strip off all your clothes naked as soon as you walk into the store, and then bitch when they haul you off. Like, I don't get it. I had clothes on when I walked in the door, but then I decided I didn't want to wear clothes anymore. It's like, no, those are rules. You agreed to them. Calm down.
I do think that the rules should be a little reevaluated, especially when it comes to ads. I feel like it's very much different. I don't know, man. So to the point here, the bill that's being considered includes certain things like holding platforms accountable for ads and other paid content that scams vulnerable consumers. See, like that one, I do think that ads should be held to a better standard, especially political ads. Like television broadcast ads have certain rules, and I think up until very recently, those weren't necessarily the case for like Facebook ads and things like that. So, but then it goes on to other things like letting victims seek out legal action when the platform is used to cause harm. I don't think you should be able to attack Facebook because somebody, because somebody posted something to like, go beat up Houston. Here's his address. I don't think Facebook should be held responsible. Right. For that. They shouldn't. I should be able to subpoena Facebook for where that dude is and fucking get him. But like,
and law enforcement can. I've had to work with law enforcement, so I know that they can do that. Like they don't even need a warrant most of the time. They just ask for the information.
It comes back to my soapbox example from a few weeks ago. If I make soapboxes that allow you to stand up higher than everybody else and say your thing, I shouldn't be held responsible for what you say while standing on my soapbox. All I'm doing is giving you a tool to be used. However, but now, oh man, I have to make sure that you're going to say the right things while standing on my soapbox. So you're going to have to fill out all of this paperwork. I'm going to do a background check on you, make sure you're not some weirdo. Because now, if you say something like "burn down the fucking Capitol," I'm going to be held responsible because I gave you the soapbox to stand on.
Yeah, and that's as it should be. That's absolutely as it should be.
Right. Yeah, they just want to make it easier on themselves when investigating, so they have one common denominator. Oh, I missed some of what was talked about, but like it goes on. Upholding civil rights protections. I'm not sure what that means exactly in this context.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Making sure platforms don't interfere with cyber stalking laws and can be held accountable by victims of targeted harassment and abuse. I do think, again, this is like
that's actually the platforms have rules against that,
right? I do think they could be better. I do think they could be better about enforcing them, and I do think that there could be some wiggle room there for holding the platform responsible for like making it a certain easiness of it, right? Why can't people just not be shitty humans? Yeah, right. That would be great. But so like
we'd have nothing to talk about.
in the case of like a cyber stalking thing, or like say I have a restraining order against someone that also applies to like online interactions. I don't know if this exists. There may be, but I should be able to say to Facebook, "Hey, I have this legal order that says this person cannot contact me. And you need to help me to make sure that happens." Like I don't know how that might work. Like if say Jerry's got a restraining order against me and my girlfriend drives me to Jerry's house. She's unaware that that I'm now violating the restraining order. Is she held responsible for that? But now if I told her, if she knows that I shouldn't be within 500 yards of Jerry's house and she drives me there with that knowledge, I think now she's aiding and abetting, right? She is now part of that.
Well, that's why intent is such a huge part of law. Like a lot of people don't realize that. Like when in order for your punishment for a crime is determined based on whether or not you knew you were fully well committing the crime. And that happens in a lot of cases. It doesn't mean that you're going to get off scot-free, but it's like the difference between you going to jail for like a year and 20 years is like, was it premeditated? Did you do this on purpose? Did you know this was against the law? Or were you literally oblivious and acting completely under the pretense that what you were doing was absolutely legal? That can change. That can completely change the outcome of sentencing.
And I do agree that they should be held responsible if they don't enforce their terms and conditions.
I agree with that. Sure. I completely agree with that.
Now that starts getting a little prickly because, well, our previous president had been doing things that clearly violated the terms and conditions of the platform that he was using. And now it becomes almost a moral argument because as the president, as a political leader, his speech or their speech, whoever occupies the office, their speech needs to be recorded, needs to be like, I don't know. And
it was kind of an unprecedented situation, really.
Sort of. He could have been calling press conferences anytime he wanted. He could have been doing, there are ways that the president, just say Trump. Okay, whatever. There are ways that he could have gotten his messages out that didn't require a privately owned and operated platform. Many options available to the president.
He had a hell of a lot more than we did. Yeah.
And so
that's why that was funny when everybody was calling like he's being suppressed. It's like, dude, I don't see you being able to call a press conference 24/7 from the basement of the White House and literally usurp every video feed on the planet if it's some kind of state you declare it a state of emergency or something. Like you can't go to whitehouse.gov and just start like drawing wieners on the front of the page. You can't do that. Like you're not allowed to do that. He has a platform that you don't. So to argue, he broke the rules. He knew what the rules were. He could have abided by the rules. Unfortunately, we kind of had this weird gray area where it's like, he's protected speech. And I think when they made those rules, they were like, we didn't think a president was going to do shit like that. Like we really, like when they were making the rules, they're like, okay, this is going to be a highly respected guy that most of Americans are going to want here and stuff. So this is probably not something we have to worry about, is that he's going to go all like 4-year-old having a tantrum every day on a social media platform. Like, you know, it was unprecedented, right? We didn't know what was going to happen. So I think we're kind of learning shit as we go.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, and that is true. We're very much in interesting times as far as technology and social reach and like broadcasting our messages and things.
If anybody thinks I'm a Trump hater, I went and bought this book with my own money. Okay. Why Trump Deserves Our Trust, Respect, and Admiration. It's 5 stars. Empty. I got this book because
I know it's empty. Which is brilliant.
It had like 14,000 5-star reviews. I was like, that guy made so much bank off that.
Oh, yeah. Cow. That was brilliant.
Crap. I bought it. So yeah, he's good marketing there.
So there's also the question, you think it's okay that Parler and Gab were deplatformed in the way that they were? Yes. There are other options. They can make their own content distribution network. You know, they can.
No, because here's the thing is, it's like, so just the same argument that we just applied to Twitter and Facebook also applies to AWS as a service provider, because they agreed to the rules when they put their shit on AWS, and the rules that they agreed to were breached, and they had every right to get rid of them. They were literally bringing threats and damage to the company, and they were no longer considered somebody that they could take a risk on. And this isn't this is the other thing too, is people are like, oh, this is unprecedented. No, AWS also deplatformed fucking 8kun or whatever back in the day, and they had to go somewhere else and do their own infrastructure. It's like, this is not it, like micros. You know, would you expect your ISP to just let you host a web page with like a bunch of like shit on it, like calling for illegal actions against people? Like, and I want to be clear too. The reason that they deplatformed them wasn't because of what was being said on their platform. It was because they were refusing to enforce their TOS that they agreed to enforce. If Parler had have just deleted the messages calling for people's executions and stuff like that, instead of publicly saying, we are not going to suppress our people and we're going to let them say whatever they want, even after they have a terms of service that they got people agreed to, that's where it went bullshitting off the rails. AWS is like, listen, same thing with Apple. Why did Apple get rid of it? They said they weren't enforcing their TOS. Them being in the Apple marketplace, same thing with Google, was contingent on them following their own rules that put them in line with what was required to be in the platform. When they publicly stated that they weren't going to enforce their own rules, and they were okay with people just like saying this shit and doing this shit and staying out of it, they made their decision. And they knew what was going to happen. They might not have thought these companies had the balls to do it, but they did. Like they weren't a big enough revenue source for them to go, oh, we're just going to turn the other way. And that does happen. Like, that's part of the corruption, right? If you have enough money and resources, like, people will be more willing to look the other way when you do bad shit. But, you know, Parler didn't have it.
Well, and the thing is, it's like this. I'm sorry, but that's the free market.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't have the free market where Parler gets to stay if you deny the company that's hosting them from being able to deplatform them.
Right.
Like, that's just it. You can't have like you don't get to pick like which freedom you have. It's like, okay, do all businesses have the right to refuse service? Like, do they? Like, do they or don't they? Like, you can't say, oh, only in these situations, everything. And the argument everybody likes to bring up is like the cake maker or whatever. They didn't want to make a cake for like the gay wedding or whatever like that, right? And they went after them. It's like, did they have the right to technically refuse them service? Technically speaking, yes. Do they have the right to not have the fallout from that from the public for doing that?
Right.
Same thing. Everybody had every fucking right to publicly burn that place to the ground for doing that, but they also had the right to refuse the customer. So it's like consequences, right? Everybody has consequences for their actions. Nobody's an exception.
Turbo Soul says Twitter doesn't enforce TOS for many leftists calling for blood. It's not a left or right issue.
Nope.
There are examples of many kinds from any political leaning where they haven't enforced their TOS.
Correct.
Plenty of times. From actual members of government, in fact, whatever side you're on. And that is part of the problem. And this goes for every platform, from Facebook to Twitch to everywhere. There is not good.
Oh, that Vinny bitch is back again. The E-Trader went and created another account.
Hey, cool.
Oh, what a little dipshit, man. Oh, our little E-Trader Trump voter. Get out of here, you fuck.
I like being a mod because I get to see this stuff.
I know, it's fun. It's fun to just ding-dong ditch these guys. Go ahead and create another account, Vinny. We'll see you again here in a few minutes. Oh, my God. Good times. I mean, that just goes to show, though. I called that one earlier, man. I called that earlier. I'm like, oh, the guy that's bitching about anybody being able to make a livable wage. I bet you he just sits on his computer and fucking hits a button and makes all that money on the backside from the investment. Sure shit, he does. So
they have to be held. And this, again, I think that this is the fact for Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, WhatsApp. Well, WhatsApp's more peer-to-peer, so that's a little different. But like, all of these platforms should be held responsible for not following their own rules in a equal fashion. That is not okay. And I don't care what side it's on. I don't like the rules should be applied equally. Whatever your message or wherever your message is coming from, left, right, center, whatever the fuck. Yeah, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. The rules should be applied equally, and I do think it would be a good thing to hold these companies responsible for it.
I'm sorry. I'm just having fun with chat because these people do not obviously know me.
And look, for me at least, it isn't about left or right. If Twitter's on,
that's not what happens at Unity Tech. That's the point. That's literally not what's happening.
I would appreciate if we wouldn't refer to it left or right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The core of that message, if Twitter is allowing the left to post shit, the right get banned for it, then that's also wrong. Absolutely. But it isn't about left or right. If Twitter is allowing any message that is banned, is bad for one person and not bad for another, that is wrong. Period. Period.
Also, I'm getting sick of the people that are trying to put me in the bucket because I don't like Trump somehow. I don't like all Republicans. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? I have shitloads of conservative views. I own a bunch of guns and shit. Like, I don't want smaller government. Dude, that is the laziest fucking argument ever. I don't like Trump because he is a piece of shit garbage human being that isn't even a Republican or a conservative. Never has been. So get your head out of your ass.
Sorry. And you're right. The Linux 3214. This did start off as a thing, but it all kind of like ties together.
It does.
I'm not trying to talk politics. It's a matter of what it really boils down to is the rules should be applied equally no matter what. I do think that there are certain exceptions to be made for like the president, right? Because that sort of thing needs to be recorded but yes, the long and the short of it is the rules should be applied equally across messages across the board.
I agree with that.
We see it all the time. We see it all the time. Look just at Twitch. Look at Twitch. A Twitch streamer literally, and I saw this. I wasn't there live, but I saw the evidence of this. Literally showed her hoo-ha straight up. Boop, like bam.
Wait, like on purpose?
Oh yeah. Yeah, not a slip, not like, oh, I'm getting up to go get a glass of water and like my panties showed. She like bent over and was like, "Pow!" Okay, 3-day ban or something like that. It was ridiculous. But
that is not being applied correctly, so, for sure.
No, it's fine. With weak arguments and no facts, don't want to defend them against someone who has a differing opinion with facts, so you block them. Okay. Like
people that say facts a lot usually are people that don't have very many facts.
It's again
when you have to reinforce your argument 500 times by saying, "Oh, it's the fact, it's the fact, it's the fact." No, like, just go do your own research. You don't gotta believe me. Go do your own research.
That's not the point. That's not the point. It should. I totally agree. It should be all of the rules should be applied equally to everyone. I don't know the right way to hold the companies accountable for that. Unfortunately, it would probably have to come from legislation or litigation, right? Litigation. That's the word I meant. It's not who is right, it's what is right. I I never assert that I am correct. Yeah. Oh, hey man, I'm the biggest guy to say I don't know. Like I could be wrong. A lot of what I talk about is like feelings. So, and I try to be clear about that.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on any of this shit. I encourage people to go do their own research and draw their own conclusions and go get information. But I always fall on the side of humanity. That's where I do. I fall on the side of humanity. I just want people to be good people and not try to be absolute garbage pieces of shit at the expense of other people. That's what I would like personally. But Section 230, the way that all tied into that is that goes if Section 230 goes away, social media dies. There is no social media without now I do know that they are talking about revisions to it, not abolishing it. I'm talking about if they abolished it and it completely went away, with no exceptions. There would be no social media, there would be no Discord, there would be no MIRC, there would be no real-time communication between large groups of people. It would literally just be point-to-point email and stuff like that. Because the whole reason that entire system can exist is literally because of Section 230. And I mean a handful of other legislation too that kind of overlaps. But still. Today is a spicy TikTok, but it's okay. I don't mind. I like talking about this shit.
I do.
I'm tired of it.
That's the long and the short of it. That's the argument. I don't care what side you're on, and I'll say it. I know I've said this like 5-6 times already, but that's the long and the short of it when it comes to Section 230. Is the rules need to be applied equally, without, or what's the right word? They need to be applied objectively, without bias.
So I wonder like that's the problem that you run into with humans versus automation again, is like it depends on the human that gets the report too. Like I've seen that time and time again. Like I literally on Facebook reported a message where a guy said he was going to murder my son in front of me and make me watch the life bleed out of his eyes. And I reported it to Facebook and I got a message back 24 hours later that said, "We have reviewed this post and have determined that it doesn't violate any of our policies," and it stayed listed. And I had to report it 4 more times, the same post 4 more times. And the 4th time I finally reported it over the course of this being up for like a month, it finally got removed. And it said, okay, we found that this person violated. But there's 3 people that reviewed that post that were like, oh no, it's totally within lines for a guy to threaten some guy's autistic child with death in front of him in the most horrible way possible. And they didn't even delete his account. They just deleted the post. So again, it depends on who's looking at it. We're saying that it should just be enforced like evenly across the platform. And in order to do that, you have to have better training for your people that are actually like adjudicating these things. Yeah. And that's definitely not happening. So hey, LaRusso, thank you to 55 Knox. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
And
that's awesome.
What do you say? You should definitely read the Make Poetry Great Again. It's a collection of Trump tweets. Oh, I've already seen it.
But there was another comment that I wanted to mention. Naish Hura. I probably butchered that a little bit, but many leftists have gotten kicked off Twitter during the Trump era. It's just that some of you aren't following said leftists and paying attention. Talib Kweli is just one example. And that is an issue in general, is confirmation bias, right? You say, oh, it's only the right. All these conservatives are the only ones getting banned because that's all you're looking for. Because that's what you're looking at. Bingo. And so, and hey, I'm sure it goes both ways. It does. 100%.
Dude, I everything that I've said today, I am absolutely guilty of doing myself. Every single thing. I'm not saying I'm perfect here. Like I'm literally talking about this, about what we should do and what we should have. It's hard to break from that. There's a reason it exists today, and it's because we're all a little bit of part of the problem. Yeah. And I can completely admit to that. I'm not going to sit here and on a soapbox and cast rocks without saying that I'm guilty of a lot of this shit.
Look, on my own Twitch channel, okay, when I was doing drive streams and shit, I have banned people without even comment, and then the next day have toyed with the people and not banned them just for the lulz, right? I don't even apply my own rules evenly and effectively. Well, effectively I do, but like, and so I don't know. It's hard, but I do think that the companies have the ability and the resources to apply their rules evenly, fairly, and without prejudice. I think somebody mentioned that in the chat. And they should. And I think that there should be a way of when Rachel Maddow gets a $1.8 billion asset, then I'll look at the other side. Oh, was she spouting off liable shit too. I don't know.
I thought it was a $2.3 billion lawsuit.
There's a couple of them going around for defamation and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, those are lawsuits, though. Anybody can sue anybody for any reason. So, you know, that's like, these aren't like federal lawsuits. These are civil lawsuits, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I still think that's funny, though, over $2 billion. It's like, that's a suit where they just like made up a random number. Like, they're like, oh, we just want the maximum impact. You can't get $2 billion out of somebody who's worth like $50. Like, you can't. Like, the math doesn't line up.
Yeah.
It is funny, though. So should we move on over to Starship and end this on a high note?
Yeah.
By the way, we don't get this preachy every tech talk, but I'll tell you right now, it's just we had a rough 2020, man. Yeah. Like shit's starting to finally turn around a little bit, but there's a lot of bullshit. And it's just sometimes when the right trigger point gets hit, you got to say something about it. You know, I like being on the record. I get just as fuck. I have consequences just like everybody else. I get death threats and people threatening to do bad shit to me and everything for consequences for what I say online. Hey, everybody has consequences for everything. This whole only one side has consequences for the other. No, trust me, there are consequences for every fucking thing you say and everything you do, regardless of how small or how large the scope is, right? So yeah. But I still try to say the right thing.
So Vinny says, but this is I just want to point out.
Oh no, Vinny has come back under like 5 different accounts. I'm logging them all so I can report him to YouTube because he has like 8,000 like overlapping accounts.
It's not irony.
So I'm gonna make sure I take care of that later. So I'm just tracking them all.
To start, it's not irony. It's hypocrisy.
Exactly.
But Facebook. How do I put this? I imagine Facebook hosts their own platform, so they can't violate AWS rules if they are hosting their own stuff. So again, like those services were being hosted and had agreed upon to certain terms and conditions to be hosted on. And again, in violation of those terms and conditions, they were deplatformed. It's fine. They can start up their own servers. They can host their own shit. At one point, they probably had enough money to do so. So yeah, you break the rules, you get punished. And again, it comes back to it should be applied equally. I don't care if, you know, there should be some repercussion for not enforcing the rules equally. I agree with that. It should be. You agreed to certain terms and conditions, and if you face the consequences of violating those terms and conditions, too bad. But again, there should be some repercussion for not following your own rules equally.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. Like a good example right now is Vinny. He's evaded a channel ban 4 times now. That's against YouTube's terms of service. You're not allowed to evade a channel ban. So now I have all 4 or 5 of his YouTube channels in a little notepad here, and I'm going to go report to my partner manager and say this person's evading the channel ban, which they can choose what to do. I don't get to choose what the repercussions are. YouTube will decide that. I'm just going to report it because evading a channel ban is against the TOS that you agree to when you sign up for this service.
So that again is the long and the short of it. They should be held responsible for not applying the rules equally.
Agreed.
Should be.
Hey, what's up, Robert?
Don't care.
Old Dark Tigger in the house. Catching the tail end of the show. You know Rob? Have I introduced you to Robert? Dark Tigger 501?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's chilling in chat right now.
Yeah, right on. All right, spaceship exploding.
Yeah, that's actually an appropriate last topic for today.
Right? Honestly, great.
Yep.
Good for them.
Yep. So I like the way SpaceX does business. Honestly, I like the idea that they're like, oh, fuck the CAD design thing in the computer for like 5 years. Let's just keep building cheap shit and blowing it up until it works. Like obviously they're doing it. Everybody made fun of them so SpaceX got made fun of for landing a rocket the way they do. Now everybody is trying to do that same thing, right? Yeah. And it's the most reliable way that anything's ever been returned back to Earth, honestly, like most efficient. Now you've got them with like building a Starship thing, and it's like it's all predicated on them just building shit and testing it. Every other company is like, oh, engineer the computer, build everything perfectly, get everything perfect so that we have the highest possible success. That makes sense if you're going to Mars, right? Like if you have to get it right on the first try. But when it's cheaper to actually just build the shit in stages and then just blow it up if it doesn't work, the amount of data you learn from that real life, like the real life variables and repercussions and stuff, like the shit you're not going to learn in a computer, that's amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Richard Calaby says, speaking of Starship S9, why isn't the research from the Apollo and Gemini programs being used, or is it? Would that cut down on the number of iterations? Yes. Look, rocket science has improved since the Apollo program quite a bit. They must be building on what was learned from there. The problem, so look at the Apollo and Gemini programs. Those things blew up on like launch, and probably blew up before they even started putting people at the top of them. Many times.
Oh, yeah.
So I believe most of the problem here isn't the launch. We can get rockets up into space with our eyes closed without even trying.
We're good at that.
It's the landing.
Yeah.
And how they're trying to land these rockets that has become the problem, or is the hitch in things, right? Again, heck, I could probably gather enough bits and pieces to put a fucking rocket into space.
Oh yeah, now, dude, YouTube all the time. You can buy an off-the-shelf kit now to like put a rocket, like a hobbyist rocket, into low Earth orbit. Right. I mean, it's still expensive as hell, but yeah, no. But I mean, a hobbyist can do it with a GoPro attached to the side. You know, it's like, so it's not unobtainium anymore.
Getting it back is the hard part.
That's the hard part. That's the hard part. SpaceX has nailed it.
And that's what's mostly going on here is the landing has failed. I think twice for this particular
version. Twice, and I think they were similar too. I think they were both an engine failure. Where they had to shift sacrificial force to the second engine or whatever, and it wasn't enough, and it ended up like overshooting, and they couldn't decelerate enough.
Yeah,
I think it has something to do with like fueling. I didn't look into it a whole lot, but it looked like it was some kind of a fueling problem where, you know, basically the engine just isn't firing when they need it to fire, and then they're not able to create enough thrust to slow it down. Yeah. But the thing is, these things are like really cheap to build, relatively, like to what they're doing. Like when you look at how much it costs to do all the prototyping and everything to make 100 iterations on a computer and have everybody manufacture the shit and test each individual component like to failure. Versus just taking it all and just building it out of cheap materials and throwing it together and launching it and just having it just crash to the ground, explode, and then build another one. I mean, for crying out loud, they literally have SN10 sitting next to SN9. The rocket that they launched, they already got the other one sitting right fucking next to it, like ready to go just about. So they can build these things so rapidly now with the way that they've created this test production line that it's like they're already like 3 steps ahead when they're testing, like they're already built like the 3rd test platform when they're still testing the one they've already iterated 3 times on. Right, just to get the data from it, because why put it to waste, right? Launch it and bring it back, get some data from it. So they fully expect these things to eat shit a bunch. I mean, that's part of the design and development plan. Even if it didn't eat shit, they're just going to put it in a museum. Like, what further use is it? They've already got 2 other iterations. They're not going to keep launching SN9 over and over again. As soon as it succeeds, they're going to take that shit and just fucking scrap it or put it in a museum.
Yeah. And I don't know. It just seems, I mean, you learn a lot when things blow up.
It is funny though, the little problems that they have. Like, they can get it up there, they can get it to do a maneuver, they can get it to like belly flop down to the ground, and the problem is literally they got like air in the fuel line or something. Like, and the whole thing gets scrapped by like some stupid little shit that's like an oversight, or it's a really simple problem with a really complicated solution. Yeah, you know, it's just funny because it's like if they could fire that second engine, they'd have no problem landing that thing. They've done it to Falcon 9 like a million times, right? So I think that the software is there. I think the software is like literally 100%. That's their secret sauce, which is another thing I love about the way technology has moved. Is technology started out mechanical, right? So everything was mechanical. Like Saturn V rocket had like the computing power, like 1/100th of your fucking Apple iWatch or whatever, probably more than that, probably 1,000th, right? And that was mostly for like navigation and stuff. All the shit with the engines and everything was all mechanical. Everything basically, it's like, think of a rocket with like a carburetor and shit. Like, it was all this mechanical stuff, and it had to be absolutely flawless. And if the variables changed, you were fucked. Like, you had to know exactly what was going to happen next. Now we have computers that are so damn fast that it's like the technology is like 90% software now. Like, you literally have an engine with like 2 like pneumatic or hydraulic gimbals, right? And a big cheap fuselage with 2 fuel tanks in it. And it's like, it's a computer just doing this throttling the rocket, moving around like this, that's making it like perfectly stable and come back to a landing.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Were they trying to get this to land vertical or
vertical?
Flat.
So the way it does it, it goes up. And then what they do is they do a belly maneuver. That's their re-entry maneuver because they need to scrub in a bunch of speed. So they want a lot of surface area.
Come in.
Yep. So it comes in on its belly and it's like a boat, right? It flies down and then right like before it gets to its landing, it fires the thrusters like at an angle and kicks the ass end around. And then as soon as it kicks the ass down, it fires. Yeah, it fires and then it decelerates and then it comes in. And they're aiming for like 0 acceleration when it touches down.
Okay.
But for some reason, that flip maneuver they're doing, they're not getting the raw because of the header tank issue or whatever. They're not getting that engine to fire, the one that they need to generate enough thrust. Even if it's the single engine, they're just not getting enough thrust. And then they try to fire up a second engine to compensate. It's not firing right. So there's some kind of a fueling issue and they're not getting enough thrust to slow it down. So I almost wish that they would just try higher, like just stabilize the aircraft, way higher before you're going to put it down and just take the fuel, the fuel cost just to see what a successful landing looks like.
Sure.
But again, I'm sure there's reasons why they're not doing that. They're probably because they have an SN10 sitting right next to it and they're like, oh, fuck it. If it blows up, no big deal. We got another one sitting there ready to light the fuse.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, it's a 2-engine burn. They over baffled, then under pumped.
Huh.
Oh, so technically it is a software issue then.
Right.
Wow.
Neat.
Okay.
Interesting stuff. I dig it. I think, man, I say this all the time, but I'm a big supporter of commercial space flight. It's going to be so cool. I'll be taking a vacation on the Pepsi station soon enough.
Dude, at the rate things are going,
hotel.
Dude, at the rate things are going, I think honestly by like our 60th or 70th birthday, we will literally be buying like a ticket to go around the moon for like for the same price that we're paying to like take if you wanted to take Concorde to another country.
Dude, if it costs anywhere around 10 grand to like spend a weekend in space, I'd do it.
Dude, it'd be so cool.
That's
a dream for me, except for I'm pretty sure on that flight they'd have to charge me for an extra seat.
Like I'd probably go as high as 20K. 25K for a weekend.
You know what my biggest dream is? If I can't go into space, like the thing that I really want to do, and I'm jealous every time I see other YouTubers do it, is the vomit comet, dude.
Oh, sure.
Oh my God, just being weightless for like 15 or 30 seconds or whatever when they do that arc and then you just go lay on the floor and then it like goes back up again, you do it again. Oh my God, that looks like so much fun. I just want to experience what it's like to be weightless because I have so many back problems and everything like that. And when I go do the float tanks, like, those neutrally buoyant tanks, oh my God, it relieves all my back pain. It's like for like 4 hours after that, I feel like a normal human being. It's like the most amazing experience. COVID kind of screwed that for me, but because you don't want to go soak in a pot with a bunch of other people, it's just not a good idea during a pandemic. But I love the way that makes me feel. And it's like, I want to experience what it's like to be like completely weightless. And I've only ever had one experience in my life where I was actually weightless, and that was in a Cessna, and it lasted for like less than like 5 seconds. It was I don't even say 5 seconds. We were just doing this thing where we were just pitching the damn thing up into the sky and just like whipping the nose over, and you'd float up out of your seat and your seat belts would go slack and you could like hover batteries and stuff in front of you. It was the coolest damn feeling ever. I want to know what that feels like for more than just a couple of seconds. I think that'd be so cool.
Oh man, I'm with you. That would be super cool.
Kevlar Condom said I have a balloon trip to 107 miles up. Can add you to the list. Oh, dude, I'm down.
Up, coach.
So yeah, I'm so on board with that. You don't even know.
Yeah,
dude. Wait, 109 miles. That's like that's properly like black sky space, right?
Well, it passes the line. So that's 62 miles, whatever it is space. Yeah,
dude. So that would be like where like the Red Bull guy like jumped off and like fell at like 800 miles an hour, flipping end over end. Right? I don't want to do that part. Cool? I just want to be on the balloon.
Oh yeah, I don't want to jump. I would jump if I had the same setup as that dude. I would. That'd be sick.
Jeff Clark said, "Are you actually weightless or just falling without air resistance?" It's the same. It's literally the same sensation because you're literally moving the atmosphere along with you, so there's no additional drag on your body. It's indistinguishable from floating around on the International Space Station, which is also falling. Technically, everything in the universe is falling in some way or another, but as long as you don't have any kind of air resistance, because the airplane is basically outpacing you, right? It's holding you in a spot because it's following a perfect like parabolic curve, so that you're always falling. Like imagine somebody just throwing you on a catapult. The plane is basically just encompassing you and the volume of air along that catapulted trajectory. So from your perspective, yeah, you're literally just weightless. Like, and I think it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, go watch some videos on it. It is amazing. If you've not seen it, just
really
look up. I think they call it the vomit comet or whatever. There's another name for it, but that's the name that all the YouTube videos do.
The big 750 or 7 whatever, and then it makes those big high trajectory things. Yeah.
And I mean, it goes up like super steep too, and then it just nose over. But the cool thing is, because it's so big and it's going so fast, they can keep you weightless. I think it's for like 20 or 30 seconds. It's significant. Like, I've watched these videos. These guys, I mean, shit, they did Apollo 13 was filmed. All the weightless scenes in Apollo 13 was a set built on that thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Just going over. That's why no scene is longer than like 13 seconds. Like, if you watch Apollo 13, every scene where they're weightless, they always do a jump cut like every, I think it's like 12 to 13 seconds or something like that. And it's because they basically have to reset, get them back to a safe position, climb again, and do it again and again and again. They just did that all day.
Yeah. So for the folks who aren't wrapping their head around this, and I'm probably going to oversimplify this, but it's a matter of acceleration, right? When you go really fast and then you stop real hard and you keep going, right? Imagine that. But the thing is, you're going up, and then now you're not. So you keep going. Your body keeps trying to go up, and at a point, it reaches an equilibrium. You reach the top of the apex of that curve, and there's a few seconds where you're not going up anymore, and you haven't quite started to fall. And that's where you're like, oh shit, and then you fall. That's the zero gravity.
It's cool. And if you've ever been on like a little, actually the closest you've probably ever come to experiencing is if you've ever been on a commercial airline where you hit what do they call it? Stagnant air or whatever. The airplane just drops like 30 feet.
Yeah.
Like you just feel like it just drops out. It's like a roller coaster. Like when the roller coaster goes over and starts going over that like tiny second when you're going up over the loop where you just feel like your whole body gets light and your stomach gets light. Just imagine that being a perpetual thing where it's like you're frozen in that state for a prolonged period of time. It is creepy. And I understand why people that have to train for it and stuff, because people do get sick. Like they do legit get sick from weightlessness because your body's like, what the fuck's happening?
Kevlar gave the math: 32 feet per second squared.
Oh, that's the acceleration rate.
Point, I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what point but probably that sounds well, because that's the pull of gravity, right? For Earth's gravity is that's how hard it's pulling you, right?
Wait, is it $5,000 to go on the vomit per person?
No way. No, it's got to be. That's gravity, 32 feet per second.
Wait, okay. I mean, that sounds damn right affordable. Hold on. I mean, for what it is, like, because they obviously stay up there for a long time, so you get a lot of sessions and stuff. It's not like you're just going up and doing like 1 or 2 and bringing you back.
That's cool.
Wait, really? It's only $5,000. No wonder NASA retired theirs. Like, why would you maintain your own aircraft when there's like a private company do it for? I mean, shit, you can spend over $5,000 for like a first class ticket to go from like one side of the country to the other.
Yeah,
like you can spend $20,000 on a first class ticket
to Greece or something. Is going to cost you that much.
Yeah, I'd way rather get where I'm going. Do they do flights where they actually take you somewhere so you can be like, I want to go to Florida, and the whole way there you're just weightless pinned the whole way? That'd be awesome.
There's in some of the sci-fi books I've read, they talk about those sort of like hyperbolic trajectory sort of flights where like you take off in San Francisco and you go and then you get real high and then it just comes right back down in Florida and it takes like 90 minutes. That'd be so cool. I'm down.
Well, I know that I know SpaceX is like actually shooting for doing commercial terrestrial flights.
That'd be cool.
Like I've seen that, but again, I'm like, how? Like, how can you do like? How could you get under even the price of Concorde to do something like that? I know it's because like their new rocket, what do their new Raptor engines use like cheap fuel, right? Don't they power on methane or something like that? It's like they're not using crazy like exotic fuels and shit.
Right on.
So maybe they can do it. Maybe they can, because I mean, if they're or like even like if you could build an engine that ran on hydrogen, that would be dangerous as ever living fuck. But like liquid hydrogen and LOX or something like that. That's cheap fuel that you can. Oxygen is like you compress it into a liquid, right?
I was gonna say it's probably not so much any more dangerous than liquid oxygen. Like,
oh, the 0G is only 5,000 if you do it with a group of people of 25 seats. Still, I wouldn't mind floating around with 25 people in a 777 or whatever 747.
I think we could find 25 people to chip in $5,000.
Yeah. Wait, they run on kerosene? Wait, the new Raptor engine's a kerosene engine? I don't know this, but wait a second. Kerosene is like a really sooty, like
Yeah, that's not
contaminating
going to
fuel,
work.
is it?
No. The Starship runs on LO2 and methane. Liquid oxygen and methane. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, because methane is like an infinitely
Kerosene would be
renewable
wicked
fuel.
heavy. That doesn't make any sense.
That's like with kerosene. Wouldn't it just be like shitting out soot the whole way up? Like, wouldn't there just be like a giant rolling coal, like diesel cloud behiund it?
Right? This is some kind of steampunk rocket we got going on here. Come on. Come on.
I think Adam was talking about something else. I'm waiting to see if he like types in chat. But yeah, because I was gonna say, yeah, that wouldn't be good. Like methane makes sense. The Raptor is methane. The cheap flights are J6. Okay, so that makes sense. That actually makes sense. I think, can't jet turbines like burn anything? I've heard that you can like literally put like straight up diesel into a jet turbine engine. It'll burn. I mean, it won't run with the same power and efficiency, but I heard that you can like literally run any, like if it'll burn, it'll run a turbine. Like if it'll burn.
I imagine because it compresses that stuff so tight. Like,
yeah, because I watched a YouTube video where a dude literally took just straight up cooking oil and he put it in like a metal vat with a heater coil around it, and he basically heated it like a deep fat fryer until it was like a really thin, watery consistency. And then he basically just pumped it into a hobbyist jet turbine that made like 35 pounds of it was like one of those ones used like on a hobbyist jet, and it made like I think it was like 60% of the power that it did on the actual jet fuel, like just literally burning like French fry oil.
Wow,
it was really cool. It was really, really cool. You can run a car on burning wood. I've seen that. Yeah, it's called gasification.
Right?
Yeah. I saw. There was a reality TV show a couple of years ago.
The Colony.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Because I remember
they had 2 seasons. That was sick.
Yeah, because they build a truck and they put a gasifier in the back of it, like in the bed of the truck, and it actually ran the truck on wood.
Yeah.
So weird. And I don't understand how that shit works. That's magic.
They were running a generator off of, in one of the seasons. They ran like a Honda generator off of wood gas.
That's so like freaking cool.
Yeah,
I have seen that before, where people build gasifiers and run stuff on it. Like there's a guy who did one with a lawnmower, and he's got like a little fireplace on top of it. Yeah, and he's like just pumping in the smoke, and it's like burn. It's like reburning the smoke. I don't know. That is so weird. That seems like that's like the most inefficient thing on Earth, though.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah, you'd have to put so much wood in there. Like you can't.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like. Yeah, it seems like you'd like burn a cord of wood to drive like 20 miles or something. It just does not seem like it's an efficient system. But then again, I don't really understand like 100% how it works. I know Colin Furze has built one too. I saw Colin Furze. He built a gasifier a long time ago too, and it worked.
Oh, that's cool.
Like he actually took the hose off it, like lit it, and a giant jet of flame was coming out of it. So I was like, oh, that's pretty damn impressive, dude.
That's cool.
Let's see here. Yeah, Colin built one, right? Colin Furze, I thought he was one that I saw. Whoa. MD Hofsty said the next flight for the 720. It's a 727. Is out of Long Beach, and 35 days for a 0G flight. Wait, a 727? Isn't that tiny? I thought these were big boys that they did this in. Are these just like little like commuter jets that they're doing this shit in now? I'm kind of curious, like, because that would also explain why they keep the cost down, right?
I love it. Kevlar says, "Chrono, it's the internet, not an MIT lecture." Right. We play fast and loose with the specifics until Kevlar's had a few drinks and he starts dropping physics equations into the chat, and then we all just
tune out. Just be like, Adam is on a different plane of existence right now.
Right.
Just nod your head.
He starts dropping super chats where it's like, actually.
No, the best ones are these are my favorite Adam moments, is when I get random text messages in the middle of the night that are like these really deep, like Jack Handy deep thought of the day, but like I have no context for what he's saying. And it's like, oh, the mailbox is over the moon at midnight, 3 past 10 or something. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? What? And I show my wife, and I'm like, do you know what he's saying? And I'll be like, is he sending a follow-up message? Like, what is it? It's hilarious, but it's like, then he explains it to you and it makes sense, but it's like, you don't have the context that he has, but it's hilarious. I love it.
3 a.m. I had a business idea, so I had to get it down. And I'm like, dude, Adam like sleeps in 20-minute increments or something. Like, I get weird text messages sometimes. It's funny. It's
I don't
great.
think Adam's
it warms my heart every time. It's so fun.
Adam is like, he's like a bat. He's nocturnal. Because he's always awake at like 3 or 4 a.m., but then he's always sleeping during the day if I message him.
Right.
Like he's literally a bat human. I don't know. Hey, Adam, did you get back on a 24-hour cycle, or are you still doing the crazy thing that you were doing last time we talked, where you're like staying up for like 36 hours or whatever, then sleeping for like 18 or something weird like that?
Man,
I don't know how you could do that. Like, I don't even know. Hey, Kevlar Con, thank you for the $20 super chat, man. We appreciate it, brother.
Thank you. Yeah,
always appreciated. Have we heard of the Steam EA play glitch?
No,
I have not. Enlighten us, Sam's DIY e-bike.
So, he says he's on 48/24.
Wait, you're staying up for 48 hours and then sleeping for an entire day?
That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah, I can't do that because, like, literally, if I sleep any more than 6 or 7 hours, like, I lose all the feeling in my arms and legs, and I wake up in like massive pain. So I have to like, I almost should do it like the opposite of what he's doing and just literally sleep twice a day.
I put out a tweet one time, just kind of half goofing about like, would a chemically induced coma actually produce a restful sleep? And
according to Michael Jackson, it did.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it would, because man, that would be great. Just a nice solid 10 hours of pure unconsciousness, where like my breathing didn't like half wake me up or anything like that. That'd be great.
Like they literally just give you like a local anesthesia and like intubate you, and you just like close your eyes and you're instantly awake and like fully rested. Like
that would be the coolest shit in the world.
One day.
Oh no!
Hey, Neuralink could probably do that. I bet you Neuralink.
Kevlar says nah. His father was an anesthesiologist.
Oh damn!
So I take your word. That's too bad.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Which makes sense because like the chemicals that knock you out. Well, yeah, you probably the chemicals that knock you out probably aren't the right mixture to produce the like lower level unconsciousness that you need for restful sleep.
Ooh, what about Neuralink though, dude? What about Neuralink? Because they said at some point, like Elon wants Neuralink to be bidirectional, right? He wants to be able to feed signals into the brain. What if you could just feed a signal into the brain that just generated like a shitload of like melatonin and serotonin and just kept you under, like literally a bomb going off next to you wouldn't wake you up. And then when the alarm goes off in the morning, it just spikes your adrenaline or something like that. And you just wake up and you're like fully refreshed and ready to go stab something.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
It would be cool.
So I could see Neuralink being a cool technology, like if they get it all worked out. However, it's one of those technologies where it's like anytime you have a technology where you're like trying to like, you know, mess with somebody's brain, I think there's going to be some trial and error there where you're going to have some people that are like, you know, having some weird side effects and shit before you get to it working perfectly.
Yeah, he's saying nobody sleeps under anesthesia. Huh.
Yeah,
which, again, thinking more on it makes sense. No.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, dude. Okay, so I can speak from experience on this one. So I had to go and have my appendix removed. And when I went to have my appendix removed, it was, I want to say it took them 3.5 or 4 hours. It wasn't that big of a deal. It's like now they do it by just poking 3 little holes in you and sticking robotic arms in you, and they inflate your belly like a beach ball with some kind of inert gas. And then they go in there and like, you know, cauterize everything with the robotic arms. It's a pretty sweet operation. I went and watched a video of it happening online, not mine, but somebody else's, because I was curious what they did to me, because when they put me under, they gave me a high dose of Ativan, and because I was really nervous, and that calms your nerves. So I'm like going into the ER and I'm laughing like, oh yeah, let's get this cutting operation started. It's weird. Like imagine being in a state where you have no fear of anything. Like somebody could literally just be like pointing a gun at your head and you'd be like, I dare you to pull the trigger, you dipshit. Like, no, I mean, literally Ativan puts you in that state when it's like intravenous. And so they give me this stuff and we go in and I'm laughing and the surgeons are laughing and they're like, they put the thing over my, oh no, they didn't even put a thing over my mouth. They were injecting it. That's right. They were injecting it into the IV in my arm. And they said, all right, Mr. Berg, you're about to go night-night. They're like, you need to count backwards from 10. And I remember going 10, 9, and I didn't even feel anything. Just lights out. It was like I blinked. I just closed my eyes and then I opened my eyes and it was a pitch black room and I couldn't see shit. And then I'm like, and the nurse is like, okay, Mr. Berg's awake. Can you call his wife or whatever because I'm going back to the room and they wanted her to meet me there. And so they're dragging me back there and she's like, oh my God, I was so worried during the whole surgery. It was only supposed to take like 3 hours, but they were in there for 3.5. And she's like, I was really freaking out. I'm like, fuck, man. I was still groggy from the medication. I was like, I didn't remember a single second. Not even like when you just doze off. Have you ever dozed off like watching a TV show and it's like you doze off and then you just, it feels like you blink your eyes and you open up and you're like a couple minutes ahead? It was like that for 3.5 hours. Never happened, dude. I literally blinked. I was like 10, 9, 8, blink, and I'm in a dark room. No perception of time at all passed. Wow. Unless there was a clock or somebody telling me time passed, I would have swear that aliens abducted me. It was the weirdest shit ever.
That's cool.
Yeah, so anesthesia is like, so that also makes me wonder, it's like the whole time they're operating on you, are you like feeling the pain the whole time, but the medication just makes you forget about it?
Oh, right.
Like, I kind of wonder because it's like they're in there digging around on me and sticking robots in me and inflating my abdomen like into a giant beach ball. Like, I watch the operation. Your abdomen like triples in size. They pump you full of it. They seal your belly off and pump it full of inert gas to give them room to work in there.
Oh, that's crazy.
And so it's like you wake up and it's like you have no idea any of this shit happened. Like literally somebody could just like inject you with that shit while you were sleeping at night and then like bring you back and you'd wake up and like literally they could remove organs and you wouldn't know about it if you didn't see a scar on your side. It's so weird. So it is pretty disorienting though. Like there's no other time in my life where I've had that experience where you just nod off and hours pass and you have no perception of time passing at all, period.
That's a trip.
And it's like, did I forget other shit too? Because I remember counting backwards from 10. Did I make it to 1? Like I never got the answer. Like, did my memories just stop at 8, but I kept counting backwards to 1? Or was I literally like 9, 8 and just out? Like, I kind of wonder. Like, I don't really know. It's wild. And imagine that's literally like what Michael Jackson was having done to him like every night at his house. He was literally just getting, I mean, so it's like, yeah, that's gonna wear on you, dude. I don't know,
but right? That's wow. Yeah, I don't know. That's
anesthesia's hard on you, isn't it? Isn't it, Adam? Because I know that they're really careful about using it on people that are like elderly or have pre-existing conditions. Like there's a lot of risk factors that you can like just stop breathing. Like people just stop breathing under anesthesia.
Ooh.
So scary, man.
That'd be scary.
It would be. Let's see here. Rittenhouse said, I always ask the nurse how far I got with my countdown. I never asked him. I have no idea, but all I know is I got to maybe like 8 or 7 and it was just like blinking my eyes. And I was in a really bright room surrounded by doctors. I could see like, you know, there's 5 or 6 people in the room. I remember laying on the table. I remember what the room looked like. It's just so weird that I remember all that so perfectly. But then there's just a gap of time where they had me on a table and they were just working on me. And I don't even remember them wheeling me out of the ER. I just remember waking up stationary in a bed in a recovery room hours later.
Wow. Weird. I'll probably get my wisdom teeth out this year. And so I imagine they'll have to knock me out for that.
Yeah, get knocked out, dude. It's a trip. It's such a trip.
I'm down. That'll be fun.
The anesthesiologist 90% worth keeping you alive. Oh yeah, no, I know that's why anesthesiologists get paid bank. Like some anesthesiologists get paid like the same as the damn surgeons or more. Arthur, thank you for the $25.
Yeah, Ether176, thank you. $25. Man.
Yeah, not enough super chats this stream. True. I love watching your show every week. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Arthur. We appreciate that, man.
If the way things are going, March is going to be a ramen month for me. Wait,
what's a ramen month?
Oh, I'm saying if things keep going this way, March is going to be a ramen month for me.
This is definitely going to be a ramen month, but we'll persevere. Krillin64 said, I remember from anesthesia before coming to, from it felt like E.T. from the part of the movie when he was in the tube thing after the government was there. True story. It's weird. Anesthesia is a weird thing. I think have I only ever been put under once? I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. I think that was the only time was when they took my appendix out. That's the only time I've had like true anesthesia. I've had it where they've doped me up really bad. Like when I got my thrombosis done in my arm, I watched the entire operation on a screen on day 1. They had me so high on fentanyl. They were literally running a wire up through my vein into my chest with like a buzzer on it, going releasing like this TPM shit to dissolve the clot. And I watched the whole thing go down like, you know, on this giant like 80-inch plasma screen that was hanging over the operation table. Yeah. That was pretty trip. And then the next day they didn't give me enough pain medication, and I realized what it feels like to be operated on with no anesthesia or medication. That's fucking stupid. Like never ever let that happen. I still should have sued the shit out of that hospital though. That's actually one of my regrets. I'm not a suing type, but man, I should have just sued the ever living fuck out of them for that. Man, I still have nightmares about that shit. And fuck, that happened what, year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years? Fuck, I don't even remember. I still have nightmares about that shit. The pain was so intense. I don't think I've ever been in that much pain before. It was like, wow. It was on the verge of passing out. Like the pain was so severe that I mean, and you can't escape it. Like imagine being on fire, like just burning to death. That's what it felt like. My whole arm and my chest was on fire and I thought I was dying. They had to pin me to the table because I was literally like pulling out the cord that was like stuck up into my chest. And so they're literally having to pin me to the table. The guy's like injecting me with more of the fentanyl. And I was like, holy shit, you guys fucked up. You guys really, really fucked up.
Yeah, that's nuts, dude.
Yeah, and they after the operation, they came up to the room and like, you know, and like apologized because I was like checking myself out. I still needed another day of operating, and I was like, nope, guys, get the shit out of me. I'm leaving right now. And so they had the surgeon come up and apologize, and he's like, yeah, that shouldn't have happened. You know, don't worry. Tomorrow we're not going to be operating on you. There's another team assigned now. Like you got nothing to worry about. Please just let him make you comfortable. We'll get through this. But man, I was like traumatized. I was like calling my wife. I was like, I'm going to die. You need to get me out of here. Like I was ready to just leave with a blood clot still in my chest. Like I did not want to stay there. It hurt so bad. But luckily pain's one of those things that it's like over time, even though I still have nightmares about it and stuff, it's like it does fade. Like really traumatic experiences do like kind of fade away a little bit, and then they just kind of pop in and pop out and revisit you. Yeah. But I couldn't imagine if I remembered what that pain was like all the time. Like if I could just snap back to that and oh god, it was so intense. It's like I could fuck, man. Like you can't do that. You can't do that if you're a surgeon and an anesthesiologist. You need to make sure that can never happen. There needs to be some kind of a safeguard in place that's like we do not touch the wound on that person. Like they literally poured that it was like that brownish red disinfectant shit. I don't know what it is.
Hydrogen peroxide.
Is that what it is? And they literally dumped that into an open wound on my arm before they gave me the fentanyl. And I started screaming bloody murder, and their reaction to me screaming bloody murder, because I'm already taped to the table. They literally wrap like gaffer tape around your arm to pin it in place. And I was trying to rip myself off the table to get away from the burning, and all they could do was just pin me down. So,
jeez.
I was like,
or iodine, maybe, yeah.
Oh, is it iodine? All I know is, man, I've never felt a burning sensation like that. And it felt like, it didn't even feel like it was just on the surface of my arm. It felt like it was all the way up in my arm and into my chest.
Jeez, yeah, holy cow.
Oh, it was fucked. They're just lucky that I'm not the suing type. Like, that's, they hopefully they learn from that mistake and they don't do it to another person, because, like, holy shit, that was bad.
Yeah.
Imagine if they did that shit and it wasn't, like, it was... Is that me or you?
It's me.
Oh, okay. What is that?
It's a vacuum.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Like right next to you?
No, it's outside the door.
Oh, it's because you have the compressor on. That's why when you stop talking, it's like, oh, like it's full volume.
It's like boosting it.
It is. It is like when you talk,
Sorry,
it's like really
guys.
Quiet. But then when you didn't talk, it was like about. It literally sounded like somebody was vacuuming your beard in front of the microphone.
Sorry, you guys. Oh, that may be the signal that we should wrap it up.
Yeah, I think it's wrap it up time. We made it to the 1 p.m. That's where we're supposed to go. I want to thank everybody today.
Son?
Yeah.
Hold up. I was just looking at my Coinbase.
Oh, did you make some money?
Apparently my portfolio is at $46.31.
Did you take the surveys to get some free coin?
No, apparently I have 0.00115481 Bitcoins.
I've got, let's see, hold on. What do I got now?
That's pretty decent.
So I got a shitload of LBC from getting my YouTube channel like 2 years ago, moved to that new platform. I've got a bunch of Dogecoin. Actually, wow, Doge is like kicking ass today.
Yeah.
What happened today? Doge is up to...
Musk is pumping the price.
Is that what he's doing? Okay, so let's see what Doge is right now. Because there was a huge dump like a day or two ago. Oh, yeah, shit, man. It's 5.3 cents.
I don't see Doge on my Coinbase.
Wow, I tripled my money if I sold, but I'm not. I'm hodling. I am hodling forever. My Doge is not to be sold. It is to be given away and to hodl. I might
have to do some late night mining on my 1080 Ti.
Dude, you should just use NiceHash. Actually picks good algorithms. Like NiceHash has been, like I said, $24 a day off of just that. The mining server in my main computer. Yeah. What GPU do you have?
1080 Ti.
For some reason, the 10 series. Oh no, 1080, not a 2080. Okay, good. No, the 1080 cards actually mine really, really good. The 2080 for some reason Super is garbage mining card. Holy shit! Like I have two 2080 Supers in this thing, and the two 2080 Supers have a profitability like $4 a day, whereas the Titan XPs, the last generation, so the 10 series Titan XPs that are in my other server, literally get twice as much hash rate.
Oh,
that doesn't make sense to me. Like how the old Titan XPs are like literally half as fast at mining as the 2080 Supers. I wouldn't have expected that unless I saw it with my own eyes.
Dang.
Yeah, Kevlar said don't mind Doge. Do not mind Doge. Yeah.
Nah. All right. I think guys, we'll say goodbye.
We'll wrap it up. We'll see you guys next week. David should be rejoining us next week for the stream. If you guys missed David today, he had a friend in town and wanted to go walk his doggies with him and have a good time.
Aw, that's cool.
It's awesome. And but he will be probably joining us again next week. So 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on Barnacules Nerdgasm Tech Talk. Make sure you guys like, favorite, subscribe, tell your friends. I don't know, all the other things that I've forgotten about over the years. Yeah. And I will see you guys during next week over on Twitch, because I do stream 3 times during the week on Twitch. So does AuxxZillary here. He also has a live stream over there, and so does David Hewlett, Tech Banditry. Yep. He's over there, so be sure to check those things out. And we're all over on social media. I think we're all most active on Twitter, so come over and add us. And I think that's everything. Thank you for the super chats, guys. I really do appreciate you guys all kicking in and keeping us going. And until next time, Oh, we gotta do the thumbnail. We gotta do the thumbnail, dude. Okay, right. Hold on. Let me get it up so I can see it here. Okay, hold on. There. Oh, they're perfect. Perfect. Just stay right there. Got it. It's like the laziest thumbnail generation ever, but I absolutely love it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And next week we might even keep it a little tech.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
All right. See you guys later. All right, let me click the end button.